Well, the 4 minutes of stoppage time are now up, so Scott Parker will be keeping an eye on David Coote, and Tottenham are not in any rush whatsoever, and it's infuriating Fulham that they haven't taken this free kick yet, which eventually Kane does, and it is the last touch of the game, and Tottenham have beaten Fulham by 1-0, scored in the first half, an own goal by Tosun after Dele Alli deviated it towards goal. But a big talking point in the second half, Matt Upson, with that disallowed goal for Fulham. Madger scored, but Lemina penalised for a handball after a VAR check.
Yes, it's a massive decision from the referee and VAR to call that a handball. I think it's very harsh on Fulham. You know, Spurs did a lot in the first half. In fairness to them, I thought they played some really slick football, pressed the ball really well, didn't allow Fulham any time on the ball and dominated that first half. But that wasn't the story in the second half. Fulham, with credit to them, came out, really had a go at Spurs, got on the front foot, got on top of Tottenham, got that goal. And you know, it's been so interesting to see where the game went from them, but it was taken away and they huffed and puffed to the end, but just didn't have enough to get that goal.
Well, had Fulham won tonight, they would have got out of the Premier League's bottom three, but as it stands, they're still in there. Fulham 18th, still on 23 points, but for Spurs, 3 points that moves them within 3 points of those Champions League places. It's finished at Craven Cottage. Fulham 0, Tottenham 1.
And we're in another situation, aren't we, both of you, Chris and Matt, where handball is again, or what is and what isn't handball is going to dominate post-match discussion again.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've seen it, Chappers, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me...
I mean, your point in commentary is exactly it. If it hadn't have hit his arm is by his side, if it was smacked at him, if it hadn't have hit his arm, it would have hit his thigh or his hip or his midriff or what, the side of his body. He and I know the rules are different depending on whether you're defending or whether you're attacking, but his hand didn't move towards the ball. It didn't make his body shape different. I mean, oh God, it makes me so tired.
The arm. That is exactly how you feel, though, isn't it? You kind of think, well, where do I go with this? What do you say about this? The ball doesn't go anywhere different to if his arm wasn't there. Firstly, he's 3 yards away, and Davinson Sanchez shanks his clearance. You've got no idea where the ball's going. It ends up firing at Lemina, and it just strikes his arm straight in front of his body. His arm is by his side, in front of the top of his thigh and his waist, and it hits his arm. It would have hit his midriff or like his hip area if his arm hadn't have been there, and the ball would have dropped down in the same spot. And you just look at it and say, why take that away from Fulham? I don't understand why you would want to take that goal away. And
actually, Chris, our hearts sink when we see it, because it's like, oh my God, here we go again. And the officials must think, oh my God, not again.
Completely.
Because they're being put in this position. It's not. It is not their fault. It is what they are being told to enforce.
And it's crazy as well, Chappers, because you begin to question yourself. You're watching the game and we're sat here and the goal goes in and you have a look at the replay and you see they're doing a VAR check. You look at Mario Lemina, you see that his hand is straight, his arm is straight, directly down by his side. I have to say, I looked at that initially and thought, well, this isn't going to be disallowed, because there's nothing to suggest that that's going to be given as a handball. So it completely took me by surprise. And if we're watching games and we're thinking, well, is this handball or isn't it? And is this happening over and over and over again? And it's infuriating.
So I take it, Chappers, that decision was right according to the law. This is how lost I am with it. So we are saying that decision is right.
I mean, we're at a stage now where if it hits the hand in the build-up to a goal, is that right? Or was that the old one?
I thought it had to be. I thought it had to be more intentional than that. And I thought my take on it, and this is where I think it changes per referee or per game or per whatever it may be. Exactly, per week. I thought there had to be more intent of some kind, because that ball striking his arm, he cannot do anything about that, Lemina.
And Chappers, I think back to that incident a few weeks ago at St Mary's, I think it was, between Southampton and Aston Villa, and you had that crazy situation with Matty Cash, where his arm was out by his side, and it did strike his arm. And we all thought, well, that's got to be a penalty, and it wasn't. And tonight you look at it and think, well, that's not going to be disallowed, and it is. So,
but then Southampton played Wolves in the game, and Ryan Bertrand got done for one in the first half, but then Dendoncker didn't. Callum Hudson-Odoi on Sunday.
There's loads. The list goes on.
The good news is that a VAR decision didn't affect the game at the Hawthorns. Oh no, it did, John Savage.
Well, it did. It was West Brom 0, Everton 1, and the incident you're talking about was in the 92nd minute, and by Diania, really good finish into the top right-hand corner. The flag went up, VAR looked at it, and well, it was incredibly tight. Must have been his left foot, his left toe must have been offside, and the goal was disallowed. So you have to feel for West Brom. They showed plenty of endeavour tonight, but just didn't get over the line. Everton not at their best, but this was a priceless win for them. Their second time in 4 days that Richarlison has been the match winner. It came on 65 minutes, Gylfi Sigurdsson on as a substitute. His first touch was to send in a corner. It came back out to him on the left-hand side, and is on his second attempt. He picked out Richarlison 4 yards out, and he headed in. 4 goals in 4 games for him. As I say, they gave it everything. West Brom, Diania had a header from 6 yards over the bar. That was the best chance in the second half. Then we had the disallowed goal really late on in the game, and you have to say it is looking pretty bleak for them. 9 points from safety they are, with 11 to play. Newcastle are here next. For Everton, this their 9th away win in the league, and that equals their Premier League record in a season, and they tonight are up to 4th for now. West Brom 0, Everton 1.
And they were good value for that win. The substitutions made the difference in that second half.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah.
Alan, of course, always makes a big difference when he comes onto the pitch, and Gylfi Sigurdsson with the delivery for the goal, and he brings that quality as well. So I think West Brom would say they probably deserved a point tonight. Everton won't care. They weren't at their best, but yeah, definitely the second half substitutes made a difference for them.
OK, John, thank you. We'll bring you reaction from that game throughout the evening, also on the Football Daily pod, similarly with reaction from both Tottenham and Fulham after Tottenham's 1-0 win. The Five Live Sport production team, Matt, have the handball laws ready just to copy and paste into any document at any time, every day of the week. Handball, if immediately after touching the ball with the arm, even accidentally, the player scores a goal or creates a goal-scoring opportunity. So that's my point. The referees are in that's what they have to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I was having a quick chat with Chris Kawamia, who's here, who's assessing referees at the moment, and he made exactly that point to me as well, Chappers, that the referees have to follow the rules.
Yeah. Thank you. More from Matt on the Football Daily as well. We discussed the plight of the referees on the Monday Night Club. You can watch that on the iPlayer, or you can listen to it as part of the Football Daily podcast via BBC Sounds. We'll build up to Liverpool-Chelsea next here on 5 Live.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
BBC News at 8 o'clock. This is Tom Harrigan. The Royal College of Nursing says the government can expect a backlash if it goes ahead with a proposed 1% pay rise for NHS staff in England next year. The recommendation was submitted to the pay review body for the health service. The Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, is unimpressed.
I think a lot of people would be pretty astonished to know that the day-to-day funding for the NHS is being cut in yesterday's budget. Hidden in that budget was that cut. We're not through the pandemic yet. And of course, what's coming next is the backlog of cases. 4.5 million people on waiting lists, understandably not been dealt with in the last year. Most people are pretty astonished that the funding is being cut.
Ministers have settled with the former senior civil servant Sir Philip Rutnam over his claim for constructive dismissal. Sources close to him have told the BBC that he received £340,000 plus legal costs. Sir Philip quit amid bullying claims against the Home Secretary Priti Patel, which she denies. The UK government has unilaterally delayed checks on parcels coming into Northern Ireland from Great Britain. It comes a day after new post-Brexit checks on some foods were postponed, a move the EU said was illegal. The UK has been found guilty by the European Court of Justice of systematically and persistently breaching air pollution limits. Britain has left the jurisdiction of the court but has agreed to respect its judgments in cases that began before Brexit. The government believes the judgment is unfair. More from our environment analyst, Roger Harrabin.
The UK since 2010 has been in regular breach of standards set by the EU in terms of NO2 pollution, toxic gas which comes from home boilers and also particularly from cars, and particularly affects people around busy roads. So the pressure is on the government again to come up with results on this issue.
The security services say 3 terror attacks have been prevented in the UK since the coronavirus pandemic began. The Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, said young people had been recruited to terror groups in worrying numbers during the lockdowns. The United States has suspended import tariffs on British whiskey, clothing and textiles that were imposed under Donald Trump. He wanted to retaliate over subsidies given to the European aircraft maker Airbus. Simon Cotton, who runs a knitwear and textile supplier in Speyside, welcomes the removal of the tariffs.
We decided to absorb the tariffs, so we've been taking a 25% hit on every knitwear product we sell into the US. We're facing multiple costs to the business at the moment and many, many challenges. So it's great news to have one of those removed.
An unknown number of young crocodiles are being hunted after they escaped from a breeding farm in South Africa. Some 27 reptiles have been recaptured, but officials don't know how many more they need to find. And the weather, there'll be patchy rain in Wales and the south of England this evening. Much of the UK staying dry overnight, though, with a mixture of cloud and clear spells. BBC News, it's 3 minutes past 8.
The voice of the UK. Coming up this March on 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra. The Six Nations champions will be crowned.
The try scorer 4 times last year is in again.
The Formula One season kicks off in Bahrain.
The man from Stevenage becomes the most successful Formula One driver of all time.
The Cheltenham Festival returns.
Albert Photo defends his championship with a heroic win.
And the football continues with live commentaries from the Premier League and Champions League.
Sterling is up to head it in. Marcus Rashford with a flash of brilliance.
This March on 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra. This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
Already this evening in the Premier League, Fulham 0, Tottenham 1 and West Brom 0, Everton 1. It means the top of the table, or the race for the top 4. I might as well include Manchester City as well. Right, here's the top of the table. Manchester City 65 from 27, Manchester United 51 from 27, Leicester 50 from 27, Everton 46 from 26, West Ham 45 from 26, Chelsea 44 from 26, Liverpool 43 from 26 and Tottenham 42 from 26. So a win for either Chelsea or Liverpool this evening and they would go into the top 4. John Murray is at Anfield.
With team news, which is that Liverpool have Alisson back in goal. So this is the first time that he's played since the awful death of his father back in Brazil. So Alisson returns to the team. At the back, Alexander-Arnold. Fabinho returns alongside Ozan Kabak in central defence. Robertson at left back. Midfield, Wijnaldum, Thiago and Jones, Salah, Firmino and Mane. Diogo Jota is among the Liverpool substitutes as he comes back. And the Chelsea team tonight, Mendy in goal. The 3 central defenders we're familiar with now under Tuchel, Azpilicueta, Christensen and Rudiger. James on the right, Chilwell on the left. It's Jorginho and Kante in midfield this evening. Kovacic on the bench. Then Ziyech, Mount and Timo Werner through the middle. Giroud on the bench. Tammy Abraham not involved. Hudson-Odoi is among the subs.
Chris Sutton alongside John Murray. How much of a difference will it be for Liverpool to have Fabinho back in that back 4? I mean, admittedly, they don't want him in that back 4 long term, but at least they've got him back.
Yeah, a bit of experience in the back line, of course. Jurgen Klopp would prefer to play him in a midfield position, but needs must. And I think it's a welcome return. Hopefully he'll stabilise that back line. It's so important that Liverpool get back to winning ways at home. When you see the results from earlier on this evening, Everton leapfrogging Liverpool, the pressure's really on. This feels like a pivotal game for both teams.
Although equally then both could settle for a draw.
Well, that's what the others would like. The others would take that.
Well, that's what quite a lot of the others are doing quite a lot of the time. I mean, I know both Tottenham and Everton won today, but, they're all stumbling at some point, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Liverpool need to build momentum again. They haven't had momentum for a while. It was a decent victory away at Sheffield United. I think Chelsea have been steady under Thomas Tuchel. They haven't been a free scoring Chelsea by any means, but they've got the job done, not conceded many goals. If you're a Chelsea fan, though, don't you want the Chelsea season to really burst into life? And if they inflicted a heavy defeat on Liverpool this evening, then you feel that they would be getting there.
Is this, when you look at this Chelsea side then, is this still Thomas Tuchel trying to work out what his best 11 is?
I think so. He has liked to chop and change. It's interesting, isn't it, since he came in and took over from Frank Lampard, players who he brought in from the cold. Rudiger, I have to say I was surprised Frank actually discarded him earlier on in the season. I thought he was Chelsea's best centre-back last season. Alonso coming back in. When you look at the forward line, they haven't been, as I said, they haven't been free scoring. Chelsea is still not sure about his centre forward. As Tammy Abraham, Giroud, Timo Werner starts tonight. So still looks like he's not made his mind up on what his starting 11 is. What we do know is that Chelsea do have a very strong squad, though.
Let's hear from Thomas Tuchel, unbeaten in his first 9 then as Chelsea manager in all competitions.
We have all the right to be confident, and we played now with Atletico Madrid and with Man United. 2 big opponents. We had 2 good performances. We are absolutely able to compete on that level, super close games, and we are always ready to win these games. And this is why we are here, to create that spirit and to bring out that talent and that quality. And the team is doing that. And these are strange times, and the results are a bit strange in terms of Corona and no spectators. So it has an effect clearly on the results, and everybody is suffering in the same way. For me, the 2 teams are still the benchmark. Liverpool, of course, and Manchester City, they are the benchmark, and we want to close the gap. And the gap is not too big that we cannot close it within months and weeks and months, and this is the target. So this week brings it up quite to the highest level you can imagine, with Man U, Liverpool and Everton in the race for Champions League, and of course in the race for the top 4. For my opinion, this race will go on until just the end of the 12 games we have to play. But with a very important fixture, we have the chance to keep them on distance, and this is what we're up for.
It's impossible not to compare him and Klopp, isn't it, John? Nationality, in fact, obviously they were both at Borussia Dortmund, Tuchel taking over from Klopp. You can't help but compare the 2.
No, you can't. But I think quite different philosophies, really. And I know it's still very early days for Tuchel at Chelsea, but we've seen, when Jurgen Klopp stamped his influence on this Liverpool team, it was all cut and thrust, wasn't it? Whereas the Chelsea that we've seen so far has been extremely well organised, well drilled, and they've scored in the unbeaten start that he's made in his 9 matches so far, conceded only 2 goals, but they've scored only 10 goals in 9 matches, and 3 of those were penalties. And it's the creation, but more the scoring of opportunities that's the issue. But listen, it's a very solid base to come from.
And they're well drilled, Chris, as John says. And also, if you don't do what he says, he's going to hook you.
He doesn't mess about. He hasn't messed about, has he? And he's publicly called out Callum Hudson-Odoi and Tammy Abraham already. I have to say, I don't agree with this perception of Jurgen Klopp just being a motivator, though, and that's all he is at Liverpool. I think that I actually think it aggravates him, and Tuchel is seen as this master tactician. If you look at both their records at Mainz and Dortmund, Klopp has actually Klopp got Mainz up. Tuchel didn't. Klopp's actually won the Bundesliga at Dortmund. Klopp's actually won a Premier League. Klopp has won the Champions League. I don't think we can, necessarily compare the 2. Well, we do compare the 2, but I don't think Thomas Tuchel is yet in Jurgen Klopp's league. But I do think that has aggravated Jurgen Klopp, the thought that he is just a shouter, a chest beater, and Thomas Tuchel is somehow this master tactician. I think Liverpool, since Jurgen Klopp has taken over, they have been supremely drilled.
Just a final one. Even with no fans in, and therefore not that much difference between home and away fixtures, do you think Liverpool's players will be concerned about their home form? You've got to go back to 16th of December for their last home league victory.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. They need to get back to winning ways if they want to get a top 4 spot this season. It's not like they've really lost to lots of world beaters. Okay, they got thrashed by Manchester City. They had the pants pulled down by Everton, but they lost to Burnley and Brighton, 2 struggling teams, didn't they? They drew against West Brom. It has been so disappointing. I don't think anybody saw the wheels coming off at home as they have done for Liverpool. So tonight they can put it right against a Chelsea team who are growing all the time under Thomas Tuchel.
Reaction throughout the evening to our early Premier League games and also on the Football Daily pod later. Wins for Tottenham and Everton away at Fulham and West Brom respectively. But now we're going to focus on the game at Anfield. Full commentary for the next 90 minutes or so. Enjoy Liverpool-Chelsea with Chris Sutton and first of all John Murray.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, welcome everyone to Anfield on quite a chilly night. Looking down from our commentary position high up in the stand here, I've just been watching Alisson, who is returning to the Liverpool team, as I mentioned, for the first time since the death of his father. Such a tragic event back in Brazil. And with You'll Never Walk Alone playing, obviously, before the start of this match, we will be thinking about the friends and family of Ian St John as well, who has died this week.
The same made 425 appearances for the club over the course of a hugely successful decade between 1961 and 1971, scoring 118 goals. Arguably his most important in the game that delivered the very first FA Cup in 1965 when they went to beat Leeds. Signed for Motherwell, the Saint was one of the key signings, one that helped put Liverpool on the road to greatness. Please now join us in a period of applause as we pay our respects to the great Ian St John.
Players gathered around the centre circle, just breaking away now. And Bill Shankly himself, I'm reminded in the match programme tonight, he himself put it this way: in the beginning was St John, because he was such an important part of the Bill Shankly Liverpool team. The players take a knee down there. The message being no place for discrimination. And we should also mention as well Phil Chisnell. The news has come through today that Phil Chisnell has died at the age of 78. So thoughts with his friends and family too. He was one of Ian St John's contemporaries and famously the last player to move directly from Liverpool, from Manchester United to Liverpool. So the game begins here at Anfield. Liverpool against Chelsea. It was 6th against 5th this morning. It's now 7th against 6th, with Everton winning already this evening at West Brom, and Tottenham are putting the pressure on these two sides as well with their 1-0 win in the earlier match at Fulham. But it is Chelsea playing the ball down the right-hand side, and here's Werner onto it in the Liverpool left-back area, and Werner's ball across, a stretch from Fabinho.
It's offside, John.
But the offside flag is up, and it is a free kick. Let me run you through the teams. If you've just joined us for kick-off here at Anfield, Liverpool making a couple of changes from the weekend, Sunday night at Sheffield United. As I mentioned, Alisson is back in goal for Adrian, and Fabinho plays in central defence. Phillips is not involved at all this evening. So for the record, this is Liverpool's 19th different central defensive partnership this season. Alisson in goal, Alexander-Arnold, Fabinho and Ozan Kabak, Robertson, Wijnaldum, Thiago, Jones, Salah, Firmino and Mane. And the Chelsea side tonight, 3 changes from their match at Stamford Bridge against Manchester United at the weekend, the 0-0 draw. Mendy in goal, Azpilicueta, Christensen and Rudiger, James and Chilwell the wing backs, Jorginho and Kante in the middle, Ziyech, Mount and Timo Werner. So what about it, Chris Sutton? what are you thinking?
I'm fascinated just to see how this game pans out, especially the start. How brave are Chelsea going to be with their press? We know Liverpool's front players, they like space in behind to manoeuvre, and Timo Werner is centre forward for Chelsea. Decisions for Thomas Tuchel up top. He's got 3 good strikers, but Timo Werner, a central striker this evening, we know what he's all about. Absolutely electric he is. It has not been in good goal-scoring form for Chelsea.
No, he has not. 1 goal in his last 10 appearances for Timo Werner. Liverpool playing from right to left in the all-red kit with the white trim here and there, and Chelsea with the blue shirts, blue shorts and white socks. Chelsea were the opponents, incidentally, for Ian St John's testimonial match at the end of his Liverpool career, and I've seen it mentioned this week, Chris, that it was Ian St John's idea for Liverpool to wear red socks and make it an all-red kit. Long ball downfield, Rudiger heads it away, Salah takes it up, ball played centrally, and here is Thiago, who plays the ball to Wijnaldum on the left-hand side. Robertson was off on a run there. He was anticipating the early ball from Wijnaldum, but back it goes to the halfway line. When the sides met early on in the season, Liverpool won with 2 Sadio Mane goals at Stamford Bridge when Andreas Christensen was sent off in that match. Chelsea with the ball inside their own half and winning a throw-in halfway inside their own territory. And the 2 coaches down there we've just been mentioning before kick-off, the first meeting of these 2 famous Germans as the coaches of Liverpool and Chelsea. They have a great deal in common, having both made their names with Mainz and gone on to Borussia Dortmund. But Klopp, against Tuchel, has a much better record. He's won 9 compared to Tuchel's 2 victories in the matches between their teams. Ball all the way back to Alisson in the Liverpool goal. Liverpool coming into this match having lost their last 4 matches here at Anfield, which, I mean, just a matter of weeks ago was unthinkable. And if Chelsea were to win this today, it would be the first time Liverpool have ever lost 5 consecutive home matches.
Is that right? Yeah.
Well, so I'm told. Ball for Werner up towards the edge of the area. Werner gives it back to James on the right side. Hudson-Odoi, who went off at half-time at Stamford Bridge on Sunday with a little bit of an ankle problem. Tuchel suggested it wasn't too serious, and Hudson-Odoi is on the bench. No place for Tammy Abraham, though. Tuchel said this week that he has an ankle problem, having been completely left out at the weekend. Misplaced pass from Azpilicueta behind Reece James, and it's straight out of play next to Jurgen Klopp, actually, for a throw-in for Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp, incidentally, some really touching words from Jurgen Klopp in the match programme tonight about his goalkeeper Alisson, and really thoughtfully written, or at least spoken by Jurgen Klopp and put down in words in the match programme. As Alisson back in goal, who has of course made errors recently. Alisson playing it out, Thiago halfway inside his own half, then a layoff by Firmino, and then the ball hit forward through the middle for Salah, but Mendy was out of his penalty area, a couple of big strides, and he hiked it away out of play into the lower tier of the Sir Kenny Dalglish stand.
Yeah, that's the ball Liverpool are looking for. High line from Chelsea, 1 ball in behind, but Mendy really switched on, got there in front of Mo Salah.
Fabinho coming forward and lifting it forward down into the full-back position. Alexander-Arnold is after that, but Chilwell is there as well. His England colleague nods it out of play for a throw-in 10 yards back from the corner flag that Alexander-Arnold is going to take. It's a dry night on Merseyside, but it is certainly coolish. Throwing into the area, Rudiger on the stretch, cleared it. Jones allowed it to bounce, and that meant Chelsea were in, and the ball is cleared away downfield. Fabinho just in a couple of minds there about what to do with this. He was closed down by Ziyech, but he was able to give it to Ozan Kabak, the relatively new central defender, the Turkish international. Long from downfield from him. Robertson's done well. He's won it back from James. Robertson then gives it square to Salah. Alexander-Arnold makes a run. Salah goes square though. Robertson on his left foot pulls the shot wide from 20 yards. Wide of the goal by 3 or 4 yards to the right.
Yeah, it all came from one long ball. Lofted ball in behind, and Reece James and Andy Robertson in a foot race. James actually got his chest onto the ball but diverted it into Robertson's path, and it's worked across the box from left to right and back to Robertson. Should work the goalkeeper, should hit the target there, 22 yards out. Got a better left foot than that, pulls it wide of the Chelsea goal.
That's Chris Sutton with us on 5 Live tonight here at Anfield. Premier League winner, Premier League Golden Boot winner, winner of the league title in England and Scotland. It's been a while, Chris. We haven't done a game together for, I can't remember the last time.
Yeah, and just an all-round good guy.
Well, of course, that actually goes without saying. As Fabinho has got the ball just to the right of the penalty area and plays it across, and Alisson will give it here to the left-hand side. And I mentioned the Sir Kenny Dalglish stand. This match being played on what is Sir Kenny's 70th birthday today. So happy birthday, Kenny Dalglish, who you know very well.
Yep, great man, great player, great manager.
Here's Jones for Liverpool on the left-hand side. Robertson forced back towards the halfway line, where he gives it to Ozan Kabak, who goes for a big crossfield ball, right-footed. Salah backing away is able to get his head to it, not at infield to Alexander-Arnold, now into Mane inside the penalty area. He got a touch on that. Christensen also was able to challenge for it, so the ball bounced away towards the right-hand side, but Liverpool still in possession as they attack towards the Anfield Road end. That's where the Chelsea supporters would be, were we not behind closed doors. And Liverpool with a long ball again. Ozan Kabak, this is for Robertson, who takes it down, gets to the white line and pulls it across, but the flag is up. The ball was over the line. It's a goal kick to Chelsea. It's 0-0.
Yeah, again a poor first touch from Andy Robertson. Heavy first touch, overran the ball. And behind the goal kick to Chelsea. Good movement from Sadio Mane. Gets across Christensen in the box. Often we've seen players this season go down. There was a slight touch from Christensen. Good to see Mane staying on his feet.
Could have gone down there, most definitely Sadio Mane, as Rudiger clears the ball away downfield. Werner sprinting after it, but not even he can reach it, and it's out of play over on the far side in front of the aforementioned Sir Kenny Dalglish stand, who is, of course, inextricably linked with Chelsea because of that famous goal that Kenny Dalglish scored as the player manager to clinch the league title in 1986, when Liverpool went on to win the double for the first time in the club's history. Ball played back to Alisson, all in black, who again just sweeps the ball here to Robertson. Robertson looking for Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum towards Jones on the halfway line. Jones has been very closely challenged by Azpilicueta, also Ziyech as well, but Jones comes away with the ball, away from them all, and plays it over the top for Sadio Mane, but just too much on it from the Jones pass, and Mendy was able to come out and claim it.
Yeah, again space in behind. Azpilicueta had gone in all the way with Jones into midfield as the ball's popped back out to Jones. There's a gap left. Mane nearly exploited it.
Here's a long high ball over the top for Werner in the D. He takes it down and shoots, and it flashes over the top corner, the postage stamp corner, into the cup.
Well, that nearly ended up on the postage stamp there. Timo Werner, such good movement in behind. This is when he's at his absolute best. Diagonal ball, brilliant ball from Chilwell, and a good first touch, right-footed from Werner. And on the half volley, Alisson at full stretch, not far away at all, a couple of inches over the crossbar.
Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0. Azpilicueta up against Robertson, and Chelsea have got it halfway inside their own half. So Giroud on the bench tonight. Werner is selected in the team, as we mentioned, just 1 goal in 10 appearances. But how would you assess his current state of his game, Werner, and naturally as well his confidence?
Yeah, I think he's I've seen a lot of him this season, and has actually brought a lot to this Chelsea team. He's put a lot of good balls in, created opportunities, assisted a few times. It's just his finishing he's brought to Chelsea to be a goal scorer. He hasn't done that enough, missed a lot of chances he has, and you can see he's struggling, but scored. He scored a scruffy goal. I can't remember who that was against, actually, John. I was actually at the game. That's how bad.
Well, listen, I can totally sympathise with that, as an offside flag is up against Werner, and it's a free kick to Liverpool. Just as you were saying that as well, ball was played to him down the left-hand side, Werner, so he's effectively on the left wing. Fabinho was up against him, but stayed tight with him, Fabinho, and was able to dispossess him.
Got to be wary, though. I'm sure the Liverpool backline will be wary of watching Werner's movement in behind. That's his threat, that's his danger. Let him have the ball to feet. Don't let him get in behind.
The only goal he has scored recently was against Newcastle.
That was the one.
Yeah. Here's the ball down the right-hand side to Alexander-Arnold. Good defensive work from Mason Mount actually in there against Alexander-Arnold. It's passed away by Jorginho, but Liverpool have got it back. Wijnaldum approaching the penalty area, just flicks it to the right-hand side. Salah is there, Liverpool's top scorer, the current leader in the Golden Boot standings, Mo Salah, with his 17 Premier League goals. Harry Kane wasn't able to get any closer to him earlier this evening. It was an own goal that Tottenham won with at Craven Cottage in one of our earlier commentaries. Here's Kante, centre field. Kante had a good game against Manchester United at the weekend. Reece James dives in there. He got the ball against Mane, but he got the man as well, and it's a free kick.
Oh, yeah, maybe fortunate there, Reece James, not to see a yellow card there. Off his feet, strong challenge. Sadio Mane.
Martin Atkinson is the referee tonight. If you haven't heard it, the news, he's a late replacement, Martin Atkinson. Craig Pawson, who was due to officiate, had to be stood down, seemingly because of the test and trace situation, and he's reportedly been near someone who tested positive for COVID-19. So Martin Atkinson was drafted in.
Yeah, maybe a relief to be stood down as a referee in these trying times.
I'm sure he'll have wanted to be here. Salah heading it out to the right-hand side to Alexander-Arnold, then back to Salah again on his left foot, angles the ball into the box, sort of thied away by Azpilicueta, who hopped into the air and got enough contact on it to deflect it out of the penalty area, because Mane wasn't very far away from him. Now here's Chilwell on the left-hand side. I half thought that it might be Alonso playing tonight, because he was left out at the weekend when Chilwell came in, but he stuck with Chilwell for this one.
You cannot guess Thomas Tuchel. His picks, can you, at all? Really difficult. Still striving to find out his best 11, I think.
Mount, who was left out of his first team selection. Mount plays it into Werner on the edge of the box. Werner, awkward piece of control. The ball bounced up, and that meant Liverpool could get in and clear it away. Positive stuff from Mason Mount, typical Mount. First time we've seen that from him in this match this evening. James now on the right-hand side, chests it down, angles it back to the edge of the area. Right sort of thought there, Kante and Mount were there, but he actually played it in between the two and straight to Wijnaldum, who was able to clear it away.
Good crossing position from Reece James. An awful cross, awful quality. Picking out a Liverpool player, had time. Why not just fizz that one in across the Liverpool 6-yard line?
Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0, and we've already played 15 minutes. And Chelsea coming forward. Ball played out here to the right-hand side. James receives it from Mount and actually angles this one back in field as well to Kante. You could argue that he might have been able to whip that one across to Reece James. Here's Ziyech now to the right-hand side. And James does cross this time, but Ozan Kabak was there to head it away for Liverpool. Hooked forward by Azpilicueta. Werner with a chance! Oh, and he's hit the bouncing ball straight at Alisson. He was stretching for it, but he was clear there, middle of the goal, just the goalkeeper to beat. And he just sort of powder-puffed it, really, with his right foot straight at the goalkeeper.
Yeah, and that's the right description. Another big chance. I don't think he was overstretching. Big opportunity, 8 yards out, goalkeeper to beat, bouncing ball, and a weak effort, tame effort straight at Alisson.
Big chance. I thought for a moment, is he onside?
The flag didn't go up.
Did not. Another one for Chelsea now to chase it. Ziyech. Ziyech gets away, drives it across on the volley. James controls it, brilliant in the area. Tees up Azpilicueta, who shoots high over the top of the crossbar. Perhaps arguably felt at the wrong man for Chelsea in that position.
Yep, really good first touch from Reece James on the right-hand side of the box and just cushions it back into Quetter's path, who takes a touch right foot and then hammers the shot well over the Liverpool bar, 20 yards out, gets underneath the ball, but the big chance was Timo Werner. Massive opportunity, the ball just helped into the middle, takes a touch off Thiago, but he's 8 yards out, goalkeeper to beat, could have actually brought the ball down, got it under control and shot. There's such a weak effort, and Alisson clutched it above his head.
So it is still 0-0, but big chances for Chelsea. And Liverpool, do we consider this to be a worrying start? The fact that Chelsea have really taken charge of it over the course of the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think there'll be a concern that confidence levels at Liverpool, though. Chelsea have just had a good 5-minute spell, dominated possession on the front foot.
Here's Werner again on the edge of the area, lifts it past Fabinho, then runs into Fabinho. And Martin Atkinson, who was less than 10 yards away, is having nothing of that as a Chelsea free kick. Werner knew that the ball was gone and just ran into Fabinho. So still 0-0. In the last 10 away matches that Chelsea have played, they've scored more than one only once. Chilwell's ball in from the left-hand side as he arrives onto it is blocked away and out of play for the first corner of the match. Fabinho clearing it. It's a corner to Chelsea in front of the Kop.
Chelsea causing Liverpool lots of problems in the wide areas. Chilwell on the left-hand side, James on the right-hand side, staying out as wide as they can. Chilwell should have done better actually with the cross. Chelsea had loaded the box 3 players in and hit the first man, but chance for Chelsea from this corner.
Corner from the far side, so it'll be delivered right-footed to the near post. It's clear, well, it actually hits a Liverpool man, Robertson, at the near post. He didn't clear it, it was deflected to the edge of the box, and he was fortunate really that it fell to a teammate in red, and Liverpool break forward, but Chelsea have got it back now with little Kante, the Chelsea number 7, and then forward towards Mount, who gets his head down, races towards the penalty area. Werner now on the left-hand side played the ball across, but there was no one anywhere near it in a blue shirt. The Werner cross through the 6-yard box, and Liverpool can get it away.
He likes drifting out on the left-hand side, Timo Werner. It's a good ball, early ball in across the Liverpool 6-yard line, but no takers.
So it is a free kick to Liverpool after Mane eventually won a free kick. He was looking for a free kick on the halfway line. Just saw a little graphic on the screen to my left which suggests that Chelsea have had 81% possession in the last 5 minutes. Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0, and Fabinho returning to the team, the Liverpool number 3, having missed the last 4 matches. A couple of little injuries recently. They certainly need him, need as many as they can back, and it will be a lift certainly to have Jota back among the substitutes this evening after his 3 months out. Naby Keita's obviously back on the scene now as well again. He's among the substitutes tonight. Came on at the weekend. Here's Curtis Jones, and then back it goes to Alisson in the goal to our right. Liverpool, who are currently now a distant 22 points behind the leaders, Manchester City. But more pressingly, 2 points behind West Ham as the ball is fired forward for Liverpool, but Mendy's able to gather that on the edge of the area. Yeah, well, it is very tight, isn't it, for those places behind Manchester City at the moment.
Absolutely. That's why this game is so important for both teams. I feel that Liverpool need a win to really get some momentum, get themselves up and running again against the Chelsea team, who have been in good form since Thomas Tuchel has taken over. Not scored enough goals, but barely conceded. Well organised.
Everton with their win are up to 46 points now. Chelsea are 1 point behind West Ham. Liverpool are 1 point behind Chelsea. And here's Christensen at the back, Chelsea's number 4. Hits the ball high, and Chilwell got his head to it but couldn't prevent it bouncing out of play for a throw into Liverpool halfway inside their own half. The Kop end of the ground with all of the Liverpool banners and flags draped across the seats in there. The last time Chelsea were here, Chris, was the night that Jordan Henderson lifted the Premier League trophy on the cup. That exciting 5-3 match right at the end of last season. Ozan Kabak heads the ball across his own penalty area rather riskily. It was caught by Alisson.
Well, that was, I have to say, that was so cool, wasn't it? Brilliant from Kabak to show that composure. It was a really poor clearance, I think, from Alexander-Arnold across his own box. High ball, and Kabak under pressure, I think, from Timo Werner. A high header, looping header back to Alisson. Very cool.
This is cool from Chelsea at the other end, knocking the ball around, little triangles, and then up it goes towards Werner. And again, Fabinho is extremely tight on him, and it's a free kick for the challenge by Fabinho on Werner.
That's where you want Timo Werner, though, backing in, going back towards, or facing back towards his own goal. You don't want him motoring onto balls, spacing behind, and Liverpool do play with that risky high line, trying to press the ball.
Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0, midway through the first half here at Anfield. The best chances have been Chelsea's chances, particularly the one that Werner had in the middle of the goal. Players wearing black armbands as well tonight, I should mention, as a mark of respect to Ian St John. Chelsea playing the ball over the top. Werner on the chase. Alisson has come. Oh, Werner's passed him. He got a touch to it first. Werner should score, and he does. There was a defender coming back, but he was able to hold him off and stab it over the line. And Timo Werner gives Chelsea the lead here at Anfield. Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1.
Well, I just said you cannot leave Timo Werner with this space in behind. A Liverpool high line, an inquest going on. One ball. That's all it took, and Alisson, have to say, was really hesitant out of the blocks. Timo Werner just gets there before him. Oh, it's going to be very tight. I think he looks. I think he looks on. I do. It's so close.
It actually might be his lower upper arm. Because when the ball was played, he was stretching for it. And you're right, Chris. There was a tiny hesitation by Alisson. And with Werner's pace, that was enough to get onto it. And just as Alisson went for it outside of the penalty area, the bouncing ball, he just got a little touch, which took it past.
It's tight, isn't it? See it again.
And it is. He's leaning forward with his arm, and of course,
knee.
I think it might be the arm that's furthest forward.
But you can see Andy Robertson could be playing him on the left back.
He's next to Fabinho, but Andy Robertson is over here towards the left-hand side. So they are looking at it, and it's sod's law again, isn't it, this week? Another offside decision, and it's another incredibly tight one. Oh, it's offside. It's been given offside. At least on my screen it has. I've got the red caption on the screen. Offside, goals ruled out. And that is the outstretched arm, because that is where the line has been drawn, halfway down his upper arm, Timo Werner, and he is adjudged to be offside, and the goal is ruled out, and it's still Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0.
The old armpit offside again.
Well, it's not an armpit anymore, remember?
Whatever it is, Liverpool get away with it. Is that the break, the stroke of luck Liverpool need there? As you see, a late challenge from Mount on Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, the two have just collided. They're both okay, and it's a free kick for Liverpool.
But you know what, John? I cannot believe that Liverpool...
Here come Liverpool. Yeah. Salah to Alexander-Arnold in the full-back position. The cross is deflected, and it's deflected for Rudiger to chest down and play up towards Timo Werner, who must be deflated by that. The run that he's been on, as we've mentioned a couple of times, to get the goal, to get in there ahead of Alisson, and then to hold off the defender as well and make sure that he did finish it. And now there it is, ruled out by the finest of margins.
Yeah, I think it was Mason Mount who played the ball, though. No real pressure on the ball. So why are Liverpool holding such a high line? Here he is again.
Werner, left side of the penalty area. Liverpool getting back. Werner up against Fabinho, puts the challenge in. The ball bounces away. Werner stabs it back, but the ball was out of play. Alisson coolly knew, or at least is giving the impression with his body language, that he knew that the ball was already out before it was pulled back by Werner. So it is still 0-0. Just reaching for the Tipex, Chris, with the corrector fluid, I think.
Just seeing this again, it is, oh blimey. You're a Chelsea fan seeing that. I think you're incensed. So close, isn't it? Looks like Robertson is playing him onside, but can we argue with that, Jack?
Well, that's the technology, isn't it? That is the way that the technology is currently working. That is how it's being used. And
do you trust it?
Well,
that's a no.
Is it?
It wasn't a yes.
Here's Wijnaldum, middle of the Chelsea half. Gets his foot on the ball and plays it out to the right-hand side. What I do wonder at the moment, having seen them all this week, is whether we'll eventually reach a point whereby, there is a little bit of room for manoeuvre written into the process, because as I keep saying, this is still very, very early days. Salah playing it forward. Mane's in with a chance, and he fluffed his kick. Oh, it dropped to him 12 yards out. He went to hit it on the half volley and got it all wrong, and it just bounced through to Mendy.
Does he lash at that with his laces? It's a genius ball. The ball poked out to the right-hand side from Wijnaldum. One ball, left foot, curled ball, and a perfectly timed run from Sadio Mane in between Christensen and Azpilicueta, and it's a horrible connection. Big scuff that. Big chance for Liverpool, not taken.
Yeah, the big chance for Liverpool so far. Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0. Ball played into the near post, will bounce all the way through to Chelsea goalkeeper Mendy.
It's one of those, John. He's 12 yards out. He just needs to really concentrate on the connection. A clean connection there. Maybe would have been served better to go with the side of his foot. Just try and caress the ball, get on top of it and keep it down.
And we've been talking about Timo Werner and how he's been short of goals. You'd have to say that a Sadio Mane in a good groove would have put that one away. He scored one in his last 5 appearances. The second goal in the Champions League as the ball is played forward in the area by Mane, but Chelsea are able to defend that well. Comes out to Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum turning away from Mount and then playing it across towards Jones. Half an hour played. Jones left-footed ball into the box. Wijnaldum was after it, was headed away, and then Sadio Mane might have been caught there. Ziyech is claiming. What is he claiming?
Well, he was caught, Sadio Mane, but by Thiago, so technically, that wouldn't have counted.
No, it would not. Here is Salah. Salah slips it into the area to Firmino. Firmino with a flick back to Salah, but it bounces off Christensen and is cleared. Not completely though. Liverpool are back in possession again. Still goalless here at Anfield under the lights. Thiago to Jones. Jones curls it in, but way beyond anyone else in a red shirt and indeed a blue shirt, and it's behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, may have been better served there. Andy Robertson had a good overlap opportunity, and he drives inside on his right foot and bends a right-footed shot well wide of Mendy's goal.
So it is still 0-0. Chelsea not letting many in, but not scoring many goals either. They've conceded 2 goals in their 9 matches under Thomas Tuchel, with 7 clean sheets. But that was a great opportunity for Sadio Mane to give Liverpool the lead. Chelsea, if you've just joined us, have had a goal ruled out for yet another very, very close offside decision. This was given against Timo Werner's upper arm. Mane plays the ball out to the right-hand side. Salah slips it into the box, but overhit that through. He was looking for the run of Sadio Mane, but there was no way he was going to get that. And the man in grey, Edouard Mendy, has got it quite comfortably. Just picks it up, underarms it out, and Chelsea bring it up towards the halfway line. Thomas Tuchel standing there in his familiar Chelsea outfit. Already got a familiar Chelsea outfit. Ball played in from the left-hand side. Ozan Kabak comes across, heads that away. Thiago nods it away. Jones is under pressure. Jones very nearly lost it, but it's now pounced on by Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum, though, finds himself up against Jorginho in centre field, and Robertson actually has to arrive to play it off Jorginho for a throw to Liverpool 10 yards inside their own half. Thomas Tuchel, he's all animation down there. As I say, he's got his figure-hugging Chelsea blue anorak and tight tracksuit bottoms on, white socks, grey trainers.
You a fan of the old tight tracksuit bottoms, John?
Well, I think if you've got Thomas Tuchel's figure, you can certainly pull it off. He was talking the other day about how Olivier Giroud had zero body fat. I'm not sure Thomas Tuchel's got much either.
Was that your German impression there, John?
It could be interpreted that way should you wish to. Robertson swinging the ball across to the far side, but Chilwell was onto that. Up it goes towards Mount, and then in comes the challenge from Alexander-Arnold. Firmino, the flick. Salah is onto this. Salah takes it centrally. A flick from Mane. A little more space for Liverpool on the left-hand side. Curtis Jones takes it on. He's got Robertson there as well. Robertson now to Sadio Mane. Big pair of black gloves on tonight, Sadio Mane. Low to Firmino on the edge of the box in the yellow boots. And then Alexander-Arnold's ball to the edge of the area is cleared away for Chelsea.
They get back well, don't they, Chelsea? Into a back five, and Liverpool have the ball.
Yep, however he speaks, he's got the message across, hasn't he, Thomas Tuchel? And Liverpool knocking the ball around currently in the central third. Ball out towards the left-hand side. At half-time, I'm sure we'll hear from some of those involved in the earlier two commentary matches on 5 Live and Sports Extra. Fulham 0, Tottenham 1, West Brom 0, Everton 1. As the ball's played over the top for Liverpool, but will bounce through harmlessly to Edouard Mendy.
Yeah, you have to say the Chelsea defenders look a bit more switched on to that ball in behind, a bit more watchful than Liverpool at the back.
Mendy slips as he clears from his 6-yard box. Ziyech claiming that he was fouled by Thiago, but that was a theatrical throwing up of the arms from Ziyech in an attempt to win the free kick, and Thiago also just dismissed it with a wave of the hand, like something out of the French Revolution. As back it goes to Fabinho, halfway inside his own half. Fabinho pulling the ball to Kabak on the left-hand side. And Liverpool are going to go all the way back to Alisson. So the big moment so far in the match, when Werner was put through, was able to get past Alisson, put the ball in the net, but was offside. What was he, 6 or 7 yards inside the Liverpool half? Possibly played onside by Robertson, but the lines, the VAR lines, showed that his outstretched arm ruled him offside by, well, millimetres again, as Liverpool, with Jones, who's challenged by both Azpilicueta and James, and the ball bounces out of play for what is given as a Chelsea throw in their own right back position.
Yeah, and I know Reece James got the nod over Callum Hudson-Odoi this evening. And Thomas Tuchel talking about Hudson-Odoi carrying a bit of a knock. It must be a free kick.
And Christensen, by Jones, free kick Chelsea.
I just wonder whether Thomas Tuchel also was thinking Reece James is the better defender out of the two. Maybe handle the threat of Sadio Mane better.
Chelsea take this free kick short inside their own half. 10 minutes to go to half-time here at Anfield. Ziyech back to Kante, now infield towards Jorginho, who's also returned to the Chelsea side tonight. Missed a penalty, remember. Alisson saved it at Stamford Bridge in that match right at the start of the season. A ball forward that Fabinho deals with under pressure.
Was that a hop and a skip one again, John? Was it?
I think it was, yeah, if I remember. He has altered it, hasn't it? A little bit like Bruno Fernandes. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. But I think at that stage he was doing it for all of them. You're looking doubtful.
No. I don't think it was doubt.
Was it not? It was a pained expression. Maybe after that long journey from Norfolk to the permanent pained expression. Ball forward for Chelsea, Kante to Ziyech, but Liverpool were able to clear it away.
He's had little influence on this match so far. Ziyech hasn't got on the ball enough.
Well, the early signs were extremely promising, weren't they, in Frank Lampard's Chelsea team? But we're yet to see the best of him under Thomas Tuchel. As Chelsea, with Chilwell, chips it across. Kante's onto this on the halfway line and suddenly speeding towards the Liverpool box. Gives it to Ziyech on the right-hand side. Into the box now for him. Left-footed cross. It's over Werner. It's headed away by Alexander-Arnold. Comes out to Azpilicueta, though, who hoists it, lifts it into the penalty area. Mount takes it down and shoots, but got right underneath that and hit it high across the face of goal and high and wide, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, fancy Mason Mount in that situation to certainly hit the target. There's a good first touch, took the ball out of the sky, 16 yards out, left-hand side of the box, bouncing ball, and he slices the ball high and wide.
So it is still Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0, and Liverpool passing it forward to Jones with his jet black hair. Jones plays it down the left-hand side to Robertson. Robertson's ball in, but too close to Mendy, who scampers out of his 6-yard box and goes to ground and smothers the ball and then is quickly up, and he gives it out to Jorginho, who lifts it forward towards Mason Mount on the left-hand side. Mount has got support from Chilwell. Mount into the area, plays it across. Ziyech's shot. That hits Kabak inside the penalty area.
Ziyech's got his hand up asking for a handball. I'm not so sure it was.
Seemed to hit him on the body as Liverpool have it on the halfway line, still 0-0. Again, promising stuff from Chelsea, and they have certainly created opportunities here at Anfield tonight. Chelsea
have been the better side, haven't they, in this first nearly 40 minutes. But the bigger threat, Liverpool had that one opportunity with Sadio Mane.
Robertson curling it, but it comes off the head of Azpilicueta and rather nicely drops into the path of Edouard Mendy, who's able to pick it up. Yeah, just again not quite themselves, Liverpool, are they? So they've lost their last 4 home matches. They've not won in 6 at Anfield since the 2-1 win against Tottenham. I remember I was here for Firmino's late header. There was a crowd in for that match. There was that little window where we had people inside the ground. But since then, Liverpool have failed to win at Anfield, so not yet won at Anfield in 2021. And it's March the 4th, Kenny Dalglish's birthday. Chris Rea's 70 today as well, I read this morning. Chelsea, you've got a pained expression again on your face. Here's Reece James.
Yes, it's great knowledge.
Well, I've just read it this morning.
Big fan of Chris Rea, John?
Well, back in the day, very much a figure of the 80s, wasn't he, Chris? Much like yourself. Ball is out for a throw-in to Liverpool, halfway inside their own half. Alexander-Arnold waiting to take this. I suppose you were on the road to hell today, weren't you?
It was the road to hell.
Yeah, road to hell from up and down Dale.
Roadworks around Newark, and then trouble on the M62.
Yeah. Liverpool with the ball at the back, it's played across, and that wasn't very far away from Ziyech cutting that out. Liverpool have it halfway inside their own half, though, with Thiago. And then Firmino, who's dropped into the centre circle. He's got blue shirts all around him. Firmino plays it forward. James is there to scoop it back to Mendy, who took a touch and then a second touch to clear it away, and he had to get there. And as he did so, I was reminded of, do you remember that one of the goals that Mane scored at Stamford Bridge was when Kepa, who was playing on that day, played the ball straight to Mane, who scored. But Mendy cleared this effectively.
Yeah, he did well. Mendy had a moment, didn't he, early on the game against Atletico Madrid, where took a bit of a heavy touch. Good couple of touches there, and Chelsea just about get away with it. I think he, in the main, has been very good with his feet, Edouard Mendy.
Yeah, he's been very secure, hasn't he, since he's arrived here, when he was signed in September. Salah with the ball on the right-hand side, but Chilwell comes across and is able to slide it away. And then Chelsea are going to play it out from their own left-back area. And Chilwell then eventually hits it long up towards the halfway line. Again, Fabinho so tight on Werner. A clear instruction. Fabinho looking after the Chelsea speedster. Here's Wijnaldum. and then Firmino's ball to the edge of the area, but Azpilicueta was underneath that to head it down, and here's one for Chelsea to chase. Kante hits it. It's Mount who's after it. Mount gets the ball down. He's into the penalty area on the left-hand side. He's onto his right foot. It might open up. Mount with a shot into the bottom corner. And that is a superb finish. And Chelsea take the lead. There's no doubt about that goal. Brilliantly finished by Mason Mount in front of the Kop. And it's Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1.
Absolutely magnificent from Mason Mount. It's one ball again, which does for Liverpool, but the error from Fabinho at the back. You cannot let Mason Mount inside on his right foot because he's absolutely clinical. Such a brilliant right foot, and he should shunt him away from goal. Mason Mount shown the inside, takes the inside, 17 yards out, centre of the goal, finds the corner of the net. Clinical as you like, just passes it with pace into Alisson's far corner. No chance for the Liverpool goalkeeper. A wonderful, wonderful finish, and Tuchel has the upper hand.
A low bending shot with his right foot from just inside the box into the bottom corner. Alisson diving down to his left, couldn't get there. It was right in the corner for what is the Chelsea midfielder's 6th goal of the season for his club.
It's brainless though, John, from Fabinho. You know his strengths, you know what he's good at, you know he has a wonderful right foot. Why on earth would you let him come inside on that right foot and get a shot off? Such a talented player he is, Mason Mount. Great energy, but great quality, and that finish was exceptional.
And the champions are losing again at Anfield, and with this scoreline, Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1, facing the real prospect of losing 5 consecutive home matches. James, it's a long way to go yet. It is only 1-0, but Chelsea have proved themselves under Thomas Tuchel to be extremely secure at the back, so Liverpool have got a job on here. Christensen playing the ball to the right hand side to Azpilicueta, left foot clearance from him to Ziyech on the halfway line, who again tries to win a free kick with his body language and fails to do so. Jones then forward to Mane, and Azpilicueta is in, and Chelsea have got it back again on the edge of their own penalty area. Chilwell strikes it up towards the goal scorer, Mason Mount, as they hit it long for Werner through the middle. Robertson comes across, and Werner, there was enough contact from Werner on Robertson to send him sprawling, and referee Atkinson gives the free kick.
Yeah, Robertson actually read that situation extremely well. Good run from Werner. Was there enough in that, though, for a foul to be awarded? Martin Atkinson thought so. I'm not so sure.
Very interesting, though, the game position now, with Chelsea having Werner, the pace of Werner out there, and obviously Mason Mount's just shown what he can do. Liverpool now, the onus is on them to take the game to Chelsea. Here's Wijnaldum playing it across towards the right hand side. If Chelsea win this, they will go back into the top 4, as Salah plays it through the middle to Jones, who wasn't able, he was twisting there, Jones on the edge of the area, and he couldn't take the ball in his stride. It just bounced through to Mendy.
Yeah, but Azpilicueta had just gone in too far, and it was a good run from Curtis Jones. Azpilicueta goes in with Mane, drags him all the way across the pitch, and Jones had got beyond Kante. There's a poor first touch, opportunity for Liverpool not taken.
1-0 Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel's unbeaten Chelsea side. A 10-match run in all competitions, including the last match that Frank Lampard was in charge for, the FA Cup match against Luton. But Tuchel, who's won 6 and drawn 3 of his 9 matches in charge, winning here at Anfield. They won away from home, admittedly on neutral territory against Atletico Madrid. That was a big test for them. And here at Anfield at half-time, Chelsea are winning 1-0 through that 42nd minute goal from Mason Mount. And Liverpool, the champions, have got work to do, Chris Sutton, if they're to avoid a 5th consecutive home defeat.
Yep, Liverpool, major work to do. I think Chelsea have been the dominant team. They've had the better opportunities. Got to say, brilliant finish from Mason Mount. I thought Fabinho made it too easy for him, but a big half-time team talk from Jurgen Klopp. Liverpool have to come out firing in this second half.
Half-time here at Anfield as the players leave the pitch. Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1.
You can't pin much on Fabinho there, Chris. Let's celebrate the positives of Mason Mount's run and finish.
Yep. Listen, you know I'm a positive person, Mark, and take nothing away from Mason Mount. But I tell you what, come on, everybody in the world knows how good Mason Mount is with his right foot. You cannot let him on the inside. Show him away from goal on his weaker left foot. Do you know what? He's pretty good with his left foot, but he's not going to score from that position. Too much space. And as soon as he came inside, we know how good he is. And it was a brilliant finish, precision and pace on the finish, finding the far corner. You cannot give a player of his quality that much time and space and show him inside on his stronger foot. Ridiculous. We're going to disagree on that.
He was on the bench, wasn't he, for Thomas Tuchel's first game in charge, and people were wondering what role he would have to play in this in Thomas Tuchel's setup. Everybody, Frank Lampard, Frank Lampard's go-to man. He's Gareth Southgate's go-to man as well, really, is Mason Mount. But he will quickly become Thomas Tuchel's go-to man as well.
Well, yeah, I don't know when is the penny going to drop in German but it dropped pretty quickly for Thomas Tuchel, and he realised has to get him into the team. He's such a classy performer. He works so hard when Chelsea are out of possession, but has so much quality. He really does. He is a top player. Hence why there's all this talk with the England team all the time. Is it going to be Jack Grealish? Is it going to be Maddison? It's always Mason Mount, isn't it?
Any idea, John, of when will the penny drop is in German?
Wann ist der Pfennig fallen?
Good.
I'm not so sure that's right.
No?
I'm not so sure that is either. Liverpool
Can we just say apologies to the German listeners if John's got that wrong.
And Liverpool out of sorts again.
John's just tucking into a chocolate bar, so I better carry on talking here.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been disjointed. They had the one opportunity where a wonderful ball from Mo Salah and Mane just snatched at his shot, but they're all looking around at each other. It is not clicking in the final third, but we know the issues that Liverpool have had this season. At the back there's a real lack of confidence, and I think that's filtered through the whole team. They somehow need to respond in this second half. The issue they have is Chelsea look really assured they do, and if Liverpool do come on to Chelsea, we know that Timo Werner does have that devastating pace and can hurt the Liverpool back line.
By the way, I've got some on the subject of pronunciation. I've got some big pronunciation news for later in the evening.
Well, if that doesn't keep people...
What a trail that is, eh?
Wow. If that doesn't keep people listening all the way till 10:30 tonight, then I don't know what will.
Might use it at 10:28:30.
Right. Chris Sutton and John Murray with the second half from Anfield on the way. Chelsea are a goal to the good. Earlier finished Fulham 1, Tottenham 0, West Brom 0. Finished Fulham 0, Tottenham 1, West Brom 0, Everton 1. We'll get reaction from both games during half-time. 9:05, Richard Foster has the news.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Nursing unions say there'll be a backlash if the government only gives staff a 1% pay rise. The health department's made the recommendation to the independent panel that advises on NHS salaries. Here's our deputy political editor, Vicky Young.
The Royal College of Nursing saying that it is pitiful and bitterly disappointing. They say that nurses will want to leave their jobs and they're being punished and being made to pay for the pandemic. The response from the government is to say that this pay rise needs to be seen in context. They also say it's got to be looked at in terms of other public sector workers. Now, they have all had their pay frozen.
Security services say 3 terror attacks have been prevented in the UK since the pandemic began. The Foreign Secretary says young people are being recruited to terror groups in worrying numbers during lockdowns. The Italian government says a shipment of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine can't go to Australia. The decision affects 250,000 doses. Italy's the first EU country to stop vaccine exports if the company making them has failed to meet its obligations to the bloc. Scientists have identified 16 new cases of another new variant of coronavirus in the UK. It's got a mutation in common with the South Africa and Brazilian variants. Public Health England's put it on their watch list, but they aren't immediately concerned. The European Parliament's threatening not to ratify a trade deal negotiated with Britain after the government changed Brexit arrangements for Northern Ireland. The UK has decided to delay some checks for food transported to Northern Ireland. Here's the MEP, Philippe Lambert.
My level of trust in the British government is close to zero. And indeed, if you consider your word is optional, well, basically sticking to your word is optional, what is the trust that we can have in the will of this British government?
And ministers have welcomed the announcement that the United States is suspending import tariffs on UK goods, including single malt whiskies. They are imposed by Donald Trump in a dispute over subsidies the EU and the US pay to Airbus and to Boeing. The suspension is for 4 months.
5 Live Breakfast.
Well, book day today, no last minute panic to try and muster together some kind of outfit that resembles something that a child has read at some stage. Hooray! Let's speak to the TV presenter and children's author Dermot O'Leary.
The message in World Book Days actually is a far more important one than how flippant dressing up as a character is. I think reading for pleasure, especially for children, but all of us really, is far more than an indulgence. I think it's a really important thing to do. And also sociable. I remember when I was a kid, and still now, I mean, if I read a good book, you know, you go and read Fantastic Mr. Fox and then you spend all week talking about Fantastic Mr. Fox with your friends.
5 Live Breakfast. Back tomorrow from 6.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1 at half-time. Mason Mount with the goal. Let's get reaction to the first 2 matches from earlier. Everton currently 4th after a 1-0 win at West Brom. Richarlison got the only goal. Carlo Ancelotti's been talking to John Southall.
Well, Carlo, congratulations. I suspect you knew you'd have to come here and work hard for the win, and so it was.
I think that was the target, to work hard, to defend well, don't do mistake defensively, don't concede a lot of set pieces. So defensively we were good. In this moment we are in a good position of the table and we want to fight until the end.
And a word about your goal scorer, Richarlison. It's 4 in 4 for him now. He's on a great run of form.
Yeah, he's back. We said 1 month ago, I hope that he comes back. He came back really well, really clinical, really clinical.
And you're up to 4th for now. Is that important for you, or, you know, with 11, 12 games to go, does that really not bother you?
I think that the pressure increase, but I think it is a good pressure because no one could say that we could fight for the first 4th place. We are there. We are able to keep the position. I don't know, maybe tonight we are 5th if Chelsea win or Liverpool win. So, but it's important to stay there.
West Brom had it by Diagne, equaliser ruled out. VAR showing that he was just offside. Here's Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, took a couple of millimetres, half a big toe or something, I think it was.
Yeah.
You just need to be the right side of that when you're in our position, and sometimes when you think you're down the bottom, nothing seems to go your way. But you know, that could have been a well-deserved point. You know, because I don't think we deserved to go 1-0 behind today, but we did. And obviously, it's a disappointing result for us. I can praise the players for the performance. I think they did everything we possibly could to try and win the game.
And you had chances, didn't you, as well?
We certainly had chances. I think we should have had a penalty in the first minute when Holgate brought down Mbai. Never played the ball, made contact with his leg. I've seen hundreds of them given in my time watching the telly. That's the way it seems to go against you when you're in our position. But in saying that, after that, it's more our fault than the referees, because we had enough opportunities for me to, I think, get our noses in front.
So, Sam, you look at it now, you're still 9 points from safety, games are running out. How hard?
Well, Sunday's a must-win, in it,
yeah.
Because when the win means we're 6 points. We've got to beat Newcastle now and then come off the field and say that's now 6 points instead of 9. If we lose against Newcastle, it then becomes 12 points. You know, that's going to be hugely difficult to try and catch up. So the point today would have been would have been fine. I was looking for a minimum of 6 points in these 3 games. A point today would give us massive confidence and more confidence going into the game, and of course the elements are against us because our recovery time will not be long enough for us to compete like we did here tonight.
Sam Allardyce with John Southall. It finished Fulham 0, Tottenham 1 in the other match. A tossing own goal, the difference between the two sides. However, in the second half, a Fulham equaliser was disallowed when the ball accidentally struck the arm of Mario Lemina in the build-up, despite his arm being by his side. So here's Scott Parker with George Cummins.
It is the rule, isn't it? I think it's crazy, but I'm not complaining. I'm complaining at the rule, but obviously they've applied that rule. We want goals in this league. It's the most entertaining league, or we want it to be the most entertaining league in the world, and what comes with that is goals and stuff like that. Physically, I just don't know what the boy's meant to do in that situation. The hand's by his side. If it doesn't hit his arm, it's his side. So it doesn't really affect that in any way. It's just you just need a bit of common sense in this situation, and we've got the technology in place to obviously people to look at it and work out whether he can physically do anything, work out whether he's had an advantage from it. But yeah, that's where it is really.
So for you, the rule has to change?
I think just common sense. The rule needs to, what we're trying to do with football since the start of the season and probably for a little while now is we're trying to make it so pure and so sterile that it becomes a bit unrealistic. And whether that was at the start of the season, I remember penalties were being given and we was talking about changing, you'd had to change the whole principles of defending in terms of defenders getting out, using their body and balls hitting them on the hand, and he was giving penalties away. And we quickly changed that because we realised that was a little bit, just common sense tells you that can't happen. But I think we've also seen this year, we've had so many rule changes. The way the game's moved, 1 minute it's a penalty, next minute it's not, offsides, everything else, maybe it's something to look at.
As far as Tottenham are concerned, that's back-to-back wins for the first time since November. Jose Mourinho spoke with Steve Wilson.
Jose, congratulations. That was a really hard 3 points. You missed a couple of chances as well, which might have made it easier, but it's a tough game.
Yeah, it was a tough game. We knew it. They're playing well. They don't score many goals, but they don't concede. They are very solid, very well organized. They like the ball, and when they have it, they take the initiative from the opponent. We had our chances to kill it, we didn't, and then the game becomes a very similar game to what we had in some other matches in the Premier League. But this time we managed the clean sheet. I think Lucas Lamela, Sissoko, they gave us something that at that moment of the game we were missing. Fresh legs, energy, Lamela, Lucas taking the ball forward, keeping possession. So the last 15-20 minutes, that intensity was going down and our control of the game was coming up. So I think in the end we deserved the 3 points, but they are difficult.
The two players you took off at that point, Gareth Bale and Dele Alli, is that understandable that their intensity was dropping a little, given that Dele hadn't played that much for you?
Gareth we have to manage, and of course it's not an easy situation to play 2-3 matches in the same week. He's doing very well for us. Even today I'm so happy with what he gave to the team. But the second match in the same week to going over 60-65 minutes was too much, and I knew that Lucas would bring us a different intensity in this moment. Dele was fine. He has a good interaction with the most offensive players, but we also felt that in that moment with Anguissa coming fresh to the game, we needed a Sissoko there to give us a little bit more of intensity and control and getting some freedom to Tanguy. When we brought Lamela to that position, number 10, we knew that he would give us that wild, disorganized intensity, but at that time of the game, we needed that. We need to bring the ball to attacking areas and to take the control that we were having.
Jose Mourinho with Steve Wilson. Elsewhere tonight, India will resume day 2 of the final test against England on 24-1. That's in reply to England's 205 all-out. Ben Stokes top scored with 55. All the reaction on the TMS pod. Mick McCarthy signed a new 2-year deal as manager at Cardiff. The Wales scrum half Kieran Hardy's been ruled out of the rest of the Six Nations after damaging a hamstring in the Triple Crown win against England. And Rory McIlroy leads the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. He shot a first round of 66 to be 6 under par. That puts him a shot clear of Bryson DeChambeau. Let's go back to Anfield. Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1. The second half, and that all-important pronunciation news at some point with Chris Sutton and John Murray.
Yeah, too early for that yet. Thomas Tuchel has
peaked too early.
Yeah, no, certainly don't want to do that. Thomas Tuchel has already led his Chelsea players out, and he plonked himself into that red seat, looking quite satisfied from this long range. And he has a good right to, Chris Sutton, the way that Chelsea have played and the fact they're 1-0 up.
Yeah, they played with great authority, organisation in the first half. Had that threat, didn't they? In behind with Liverpool's high line. That's where their goal came from. We saw the VAR at half-time, the Werner goal. He looks onside to me. I mean, absolutely baffling decision that, but maybe they're right. But it's for Liverpool to come up with the answers. What, they scored only two goals in the previous 6 home games? I think Liverpool, yeah. So they've got real work to do. And you look at the Liverpool bench, you think, who can come on and change this game? How fit is Jota? How ready is he? Maybe he's an option.
Well, there's the whistle, and the second half begins. Liverpool kick off. Liverpool have scored 1 goal in their last 5 home matches, and that was a penalty against Manchester City. So they've not scored from open play here at Anfield since the West Brom match, which was just after Christmas. Throw in for Liverpool. No substitutions at half-time, so Liverpool, as they started, with the returning Alisson in goal, Alexander-Arnold, the returning Fabinho, Kabak and Robertson, Wijnaldum, Thiago and Jones in midfield, Salah, Firmino and Mane up front. Mane had a big chance for Liverpool in the first half. It was tricky-ish, but player of his quality, you would expect to gobble it up. It wasn't taken. That was shortly after the disallowed goal, wasn't it? Yes, it was. When Werner thought he'd scored but was ruled out for offside. But then Mason Mount scoring shortly before half-time in the 42nd minute. So 1-0 to Chelsea it is, who have Mendy in goal, Azpilicueta, Christensen and Rudiger, the 3 central defenders. James and Chilwell are the wing-backs, Jorginho and Kante in the middle, and Ziyech, Mount and Werner are the front players for Chelsea. Rudiger coming across and clearing it out of play on the halfway line. There's such a contrast, the 2 Germans down there. Jurgen Klopp is standing still, steady, hands in his pockets of his long black padded coat, and Tuchel is all animation. Here's Jones. Liverpool in the second half attacking towards the Kop. So as we watch here from high up in the stand on the dressing room side of the ground, they're attacking towards the Kop. Thiago steps in, gets a touch on that. Jones then plays it through to Mane in the D. Mane onto his right foot, plays it right across to Alexander-Arnold. He angles it back into the edge of the 6-yard box, but the recovering Christensen was able to clear it away for Chelsea. Crucially, almost opened up for Liverpool there. Alexander-Arnold again has it on the right-hand side. The left-footed ball, he was trying to curl it over the top of Rudiger, but the German international central defender got up and was able to head it away. Salah was behind him, and it's cleared away towards the halfway line, where Liverpool have got to go back to goalkeeper Alisson, who passes it out from the back. It's on a bit of a knife edge for Liverpool, this. 1-0 down here. The second goal against Tuchel's Chelsea, even in these early stages of his time as the manager, would be very difficult to come back from. Here's Firmino on the right-hand side. Firmino crossing. Oh, that hit the arm of Kante, which was outstretched. The question is, was it at too close quarters? Now, Martin Atkinson, I'm not sure whether he's got a clear view of that, There were a lot of players, I think, in between the referee and Kante when it struck him on the arm inside the penalty area. So, what do you think?
Well, it's all to do with the position of the arm, isn't it? Firmino, right-hand side of the box. Oh, it does. His arm is raised. His arm is raised. We've seen these given this season. I mean, the distance the ball travels, can he move his arm out of the way?
It's at very close quarters.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's struck to him. Firmino is a yard away.
But his arm is up, isn't it? It's raised. Is it in a natural position?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure it is.
what immediately comes back to my mind there is the penalty Liverpool won in the first, as Mount goes for goal from distance, but straight at Alisson, who's able to pat it down in the first minute of the Champions League final in Madrid.
Yeah,
when it struck Sissoko, very close range, that was given as a penalty. Different position in the penalty area, but that doesn't matter. But that VAR obviously had a quick look at that, Chris, and decided that's not a penalty.
Well, as I say, I think we've seen them given this season the distance the ball travelled. It was kicked hard at Kante, but his arm was, in the sort of, his right arm was in the hands up position, wasn't it?
Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1 remains the score. Liverpool thought they had a shout for a penalty. We'll be talking about that, I'm sure, after the match. Salah crossing from the right-hand side, and it hits Chilwell and bounces behind for what is Liverpool's first corner in the match. But as the experts keep saying, that's the likes of you, Chris, the experts saying...
Thank you for including me, John, thank you.
They keep saying, we just really don't know where we stand with handball at the moment.
You've heard that for years, not just with handball.
Yeah. Here is Alexander-Arnold with the corner onto the head of Fabinho, who in amongst a crowd of players could only head it wide of the far post by a couple of yards.
Yeah, not an easy one that for Fabinho. Outswinger, right-footed, standing jump. Gets decent power on the header, just can't direct it inside the far post. I think Mendy had that covered anyway.
So Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1. Mason Mount's goal, excellent goal it was as well, cutting in to the penalty area on the left-hand side after he was set away downfield by a long pass that he raced onto at half-time. I don't know whether you noticed, Chris, on the little television up here on the bench in the gantry, I saw Mason Mount advertising deodorant. He's everywhere. It's like a modern-day Kevin Keegan. Ball is back with Ziyech, who James, who hits it away downfield for Werner to chase, but across comes Kabak to put it out.
Why did you go Kevin Keegan there? Was that your earliest memory?
He advertised Brute, didn't he? Aftershave.
Well,
he did.
I'm not a Brute man, John.
I
don't know.
Well, no, I watched the advert, though. I was far too young to be wearing aftershave when he was advertising it. Here's Mount on the right-hand side. Turns away from Thiago. Still going Mount. He is all energy and action, isn't he, Mason Mount? Very, very good young football player. Here's Ziyech through the middle, plays it to the edge of the box, Mounts onto that as well, but Fabinho is able to work it away from him after it bounced away from Chelsea's goal scorer, and it's played downfield where Christensen's able to come across ahead of Sadio Mane and turn it back to goalkeeper Mendy. So Chelsea now start to bring it forward again from inside their own half. Christensen was put under pressure and it's out of play for a throw into Chelsea in their own left back position. Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1 on this Thursday night. I'm confused. I think it's because Mark Chapman's on a Thursday night. That's really that's completely throwing me.
The big games, they get the big hitters out, don't they?
Chelsea take the throw. Liverpool very nearly won it back from them. Rudiger turning in his own left-back area, plays it to Jorginho, who's playing a ball across the edge of his own penalty area. That was risky. James played it back under pressure.
Good composure.
From Robertson. And now James coming forward with it, and Robertson's out of position. And Jurgen Klopp is urging his team to get back into position because Mount's bringing it forward, and he's giving it to Chilwell, and Chilwell's ball across beats Mount, but Kante is there on the edge of the box on his right foot in the D. Oh, and the challenge comes in on him as well. The ball bounces away. One or two shouts there. Referee allows play to continue. Chelsea still attacking. This is a little desperate from Liverpool, and they are able to clear it through Wijnaldum. But Chelsea win it back as Liverpool tried to break. Werner to Chilwell again on the left-hand side. But then Chilwell just turns, does a full 360, and Chelsea just steady it down again. They don't want this turning into some sort of frantic affair. They've got a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, they don't want a basketball match, do they? Chelsea's Mason Mount, though, out of possession, winning it back. Mo Salah.
Chelsea lost their last 4 league matches here. They did win in the League Cup a couple of years back. Here's Kante to James on the far side. Chelsea leading by a goal to 0. And we've almost played 10 minutes in the second half. Be a severe blow, another severe blow to Liverpool's hopes of finishing in the top 4. 1-2 between Chilwell and Mount. Chilwell shoots, saved, comes out to Ziyech, he shoots, that's blocked as well, and Liverpool survive. Close there to a second Chelsea goal.
Well, that's Andy Robertson off the line. It was going in. Left foot strike from Ziyech. Going to find the far corner. Beaten Alisson all ends up, and Robertson on the line clears the ball. Chelsea, that would have been the game there.
Still only 1-0, and Liverpool now swirling the ball into the area, but Christensen was underneath that ahead of Sadio Mane and was able to head it away. 1-0 to Chelsea. And it is Jones with the ball on the far side, but Chelsea are able to smuggle it away from him, and Werner gives it to Ziyech. Ziyech return pass down the right wing. Werner goes for the early ball across, but Alisson is out next to the penalty spot to claim it with both gloves. And Liverpool hit it long. Alexander-Arnold, this is for Sadio Mane. He pulls it down, Mendy's come out, but the offside flag is up. Christensen was the Chelsea defender who was back in there, did just enough. But in any case, the flag was up from the assistant Stuart Burt, who's away down below us on this side of the field.
A good start to the second half. I think Liverpool started positively, but Chelsea with the big chance. Really well worked, wasn't it? Mount and Chilwell down the left-hand side. Chilwell into Mount. Little give and go, and then finding Ziyech. That left foot shot from Ziyech. Powerful shot past Alisson, was creeping in. How important could that block be from Andy Robertson?
Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1. Azpilicueta playing the ball out to James on the right-hand side. James to Kante, and here's Jorginho centrally, who goes back into his own half. As it is a Thursday night, if you've tuned in for the EuroLeague show, there is one. You'll be able to hear it as a podcast. So you'll find that at BBC Sounds. They're focusing on the Euros. What's it going to look like and where's it going to be? Long ball into the area. Werner on the stretch, but it just bounced away from him, and Alisson was able to take it. Ball in from Ziyech out on the right, and he wasn't too far away from it, Werner.
He may have got the slightest of touches. His movement is really good, and he has that pace. Peels on the shoulder all the time, looking for that one ball in behind. Wasn't far away there, Timo Werner. Good run.
It's a constant threat, isn't it, when you've got his pace, and Chelsea have used it well tonight as Alexander-Arnold wins a throw-in down the right-hand side for Liverpool, halfway inside Chelsea territory.
He's perfect, isn't he, for this Chelsea system. And they have the back five in place. Jorginho and Kante just in front, win the ball back, one ball in behind. They don't have that with Giroud, do they?
I think he was a little frustrated with that at the weekend. Here is Firmino. He's on the right. Salah, then Thiago goes square. Robertson uses Jones, and now Salah just outside the D, but Kante and Jorginho are there, and Kante is able to deflect it away, but Salah is back, wins it back. Alexander-Arnold goes for the early cross. It hits Chilwell on the side of the face, actually, and then bounces away and runs away out of play for another Liverpool corner from the right-hand side.
Just a little bit tentative, aren't they, Liverpool, in and around the Chelsea box. Robertson had the chance to get a shot off 18 yards out, elected to pass the ball.
So it is a corner. Alexander-Arnold to take this. Liverpool with 3 men beyond the penalty spot. Alexander-Arnold pulls it low, but it was read by Rudiger. He was looking for the run of Wijnaldum there across the edge of the box, but it was spotted by Rudiger, and Chelsea cleared effectively. So 1-0 Chelsea continue to lead. The fact that Liverpool didn't score in the first half means they've scored just one first half goal in their last 12 Premier League games, despite 78 shots, 25 of which are on target.
What was their XG?
You should be able to work that out now, Chris. These days you've got so much XG expertise. I'm surprised you can't. Not got a direct line to Statman Dave.
Well, that's not technically his name these days, is it?
Dave O'Brien.
Potluck Day.
No, Potluck Day, his actual name. Here's Alexander-Arnold, who plays it into the penalty area. It's cleared away to Salah, who shoots, but that's blocked up in the air off Jorginho. Mane inside the box. Mane takes it back out of the penalty area. Still Mane. Alexander-Arnold takes it up, curls the ball across towards his other fullback, Robertson. Robertson is then tackled by Reece James, who went to ground in the fullback position, and the ball was deflected out of play. Good tackle by James on Robertson. 1-0 Chelsea lead. Here's Firmino now over on the far side. Diogo Jota is among the substitutes for Liverpool, if you haven't heard that earlier. Liverpool still with it on the left-hand side. Back it goes to Firmino. Werner comes back in with the challenge. Firmino tries to take it on near the corner of the box, but Kante is there again, having another effective game for Chelsea. After he did have that injury in the early games under Thomas Tuchel, had chosen to start the game, Kante, at Stamford Bridge against Manchester United at the weekend, and here, of course, against Liverpool. Liverpool going to make a double change. Jota is coming on, and so is Oxlade-Chamberlain. Jurgen Klopp's seen enough. Double change coming. Ziyech curls the ball forward, but way beyond Werner, and Alisson has got it. Yep, so the change coming, Chris. Half an hour to go.
Yeah, do you know what? I think he has to change something up. They haven't done enough, really, and penetrated enough and caused Chelsea a problem at the back. I have to say, Chelsea superbly organised. These three centre-halves, Azpilicueta having a stormer of a game this evening. And I think they narrow up and say to Liverpool, you can cross balls in and we will deal with it.
Ball up towards the edge of the Chelsea penalty area. Liverpool again. Alexander-Arnold receives it from Jones. He's going to try a shot, which he does, but it hits Rudiger inside the penalty area. Alexander-Arnold onto it again, though. His cross from the right-hand side. That's cleared away. And then Werner running away with the ball from Wijnaldum towards the touchline, where Jota and Alexander-Arnold and Oxlade-Chamberlain are getting their final instructions. Chelsea back with the ball. Kante is playing it over the top for Werner, who takes it down out towards the left-hand side, but he's into the area now. Werner curls it goalwards, but high and beyond the far post.
Yeah, the flag's up for offside anyway. A close one. He shouldn't be offside. Timo Werner, we know he's trying when he gets in that position on the left-hand side of the box. Cut inside on that right foot. Try and bend it into the far corner.
So who's making way? Is it Salah? It is. Salah coming off. Salah and Jones are being replaced by Jota and Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Well, you gotta say, there's a shake of the head from Mo Salah.
Slap of the hand with Jurgen Klopp as he walks past, but there's no facial acknowledgement. There's no word from Salah. He slapped hands, but his head was down as he walked past his coach.
That's a big call if he's not injured, Mo Salah. But the bulk of Liverpool's goals again this season.
Well, he's gone to sit down, Chris. I can see him now. I'm looking down there. He's been given a big black coat and he's pulling it on rather angrily, and he's just thrown something down onto the ground next to his seat.
He's got more than Premier League goals than Mane and Firmino put together.
Here's a long one over the top, but Jota is back for Liverpool, and here's a ball for him inside the penalty area, but Chelsea defenders either side, and as he tried to chest it down, it was cleared away. Liverpool come again, a little header from Firmino across the face of goal through a crowd of players, but harmlessly wide and behind.
Yes, beyond the near post. It's a good ball in, fizzed in from the left-hand side, Andy Robertson. And Firmino, it's actually a disappointing effort. It's half a chance, makes good movement across Christensen. Pace on the ball, and that nearly hits the corner flag. His header, poor effort.
So Jota has come on. Diogo Jota, after 3 months out with a knee injury that he's had. This is just what Liverpool supporters wanted to see, him back after his excellent impact in his early months as a Liverpool player. Remember, 9 goals in 17 appearances so far for Liverpool. They've certainly missed him amongst all of the other absentees, and he's back on, Chris, playing out towards the sort of as the left-sided man coming forward.
Yeah, where Sadio Mane started the game. Mane's come out to the right-hand side.
Kabak with a challenge on Werner halfway inside his own half, just took his legs really, it was all very tight. Werner has stayed on the ground. Chelsea are leading by 1-0 and it's a free kick to Chelsea on the left-hand side. So the goal scorer, Mason Mount.
He's not happy, Mo Salah. Pictures of him on the bench, he's shaking his head, muttering to himself. I have to say, it's a strange call. It really seems a strange call. I think Salah's had a particularly good game, but neither of any of the Liverpool players.
Free kick for Chelsea on the left-hand side. They lead 1-0. Sniffing the possibility of a second goal. Mount and Ziyech. Ziyech plays it in. It comes off a Liverpool head but bounces down and is cleared away on the edge of the box. Thiago is challenged by Azpilicueta. That's given us a free kick to Liverpool halfway inside their own half.
The one thing we can say, John, is that that Jota's form earlier on in the season, he was a big loss to Liverpool when he did get injured.
Free kick. Liverpool have the ball halfway inside their own half, and they're going to make a change. I think that's Pulisic down there, who is preparing to come on.
Ziyech, you'd think?
Yeah. Pulisic had me fooled at Stamford Bridge at the weekend because, like so many of us, he's grown his hair rather during lockdown, but that is him. I can see his number 10 there.
Who did he have you fooled for?
Well, I wasn't sure who it was. I was thinking, who's that? I don't recognise him at all.
Yeah, you fooled yourself.
Yes, correct. 1-0. 1-0 Chelsea lead. Ball out of play for a throw-in, and here we are going to see the first Chelsea change. And you're right, Chris, Ziyech makes way for Pulisic. So on he comes, the American international. Started just the one match so far under Thomas Tuchel, Pulisic. And obviously no hurry here for Ziyech to leave the field. Pulisic waiting to come on for him. 1-0 the score on this Thursday night. And being a Thursday, tomorrow is Friday, believe it or not.
That's excellent.
And it's a big day Friday, Chris. I don't know on 5 Live, on Drive, it is Fact of the Day. This little contest that we have that is gripping the nation. So don't miss that tomorrow with Tony Livesey and Anna Foster. Sadio Mane taking the ball on down the right and winning a free kick in a good position out here on the right.
I think he buys that one. Sadio Mane, he pops the ball past Rudiger and ploughs into him. But this is an opportunity for Liverpool. I can tell you Chelsea won't be best pleased if Liverpool do get something from this.
Alexander-Arnold is over here with the other full-back, Robertson. Mane is standing in an offside position between the Chelsea line and the 6-yard box. Alexander-Arnold curls it in, a stretch, comes off the shin of Jorginho and loops over his own crossbar for a Liverpool corner.
Jorginho in that important position, near post space area, just about did his job.
So corner from the left-hand side. Robertson has gone across there to take it. Raises one arm, his right arm, and then curls it in. Mendy comes and makes a very comfortable catch there just outside the 6-yard box. Made it look very easy. And Chelsea survive under no particular threat from Liverpool there.
So just going back to your fact of the day, John, this game, what has been...
Have you not been listening? I can't believe you've missed it.
Not every Friday. What time's it on, John?
Well, it's a bit of a movable feast. Here's Firmino, and then Thiago plays the ball over the top. It just bounces away through. James and Jota actually bumped into one another, and Jota went down, but the ball was way over the top of them and through for a goal kick.
Yeah, I think Jota goes down slightly easily there, John. Dare I say it?
Slightly easily.
Yeah, dare I say it? He could be a contender.
Could be a contender.
For the simulation game, gripping the nation.
It is. Here is Mount in the centre circle. Mount has got Werner on the run, but he goes for Chilwell on the left-hand side. Chilwell couldn't find the pass into the penalty area. He hit Alexander-Arnold, but Alexander-Arnold's clearance has hit Chilwell, and Chilwell's got the chance to cross right across the penalty area, but that is taken down by the newly arrived Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who wins a throw-in in his own left-back position.
So are you going to give us an example of...
Well, Tony gives us a fact which relates to one of the commentary matches that we're involved in at the weekend, and it is quite... It is a very random multiple choice quiz, and it's a three-way affair between me, Alistair Bruce Ball, and Ian Dennis, and your little friend is streaking away at the top of the table at the moment.
That doesn't surprise me, because
disappointing.
That's all he does when he goes home, practices.
Well, you can't practice for Tony's questions, I'm telling you.
That's a fair point. He's quite random, Tony, isn't he?
Yeah, very, very random.
He's from Burnley.
But I'm at the bottom of the table with Ian Dennis, and it's a bit like those old tri-series cricket tournaments that England used to be involved in Australia, where Australia would run away with it, and the other two, usually England and New Zealand, would be tussling out for second place. Here's Christensen playing the ball forward. Kante back to the right back position. Liverpool are all over Azpilicueta, and they've won it back. And Wijnaldum gives it to the left-hand side, but Chelsea, ever so quickly, are back into position there. The captain was in a little bit of bother, Azpilicueta, but suddenly they were all back into their roles. Liverpool on the right-hand side, not making much impression. Mane takes it on. Rudiger tried to shield it out of play, but Mane kept it in. He stuck a leg round the back of Rudiger and knocked it back, but eventually the ball is out of play for a throw into Chelsea in their own left-back position.
Even when he gets dragged out into the wide areas, Rudiger can defend. He has that pace, doesn't he, and that strength. I think he's an excellent defender. They've looked really assured and organised at the back. Got to see this through, though.
All in all, and I've seen a few of their matches so far under Thomas Tuchel live. I think this is the best we've seen of them so far. 1-0 they lead here at Anfield. Liverpool facing the possibility of 5 consecutive home defeats, and Salah's been substituted. Mane on the right, crossing left-footed, but it's over the top of Jota, and the ball just bounces away through for a goal kick.
There has to be something special from the wide areas. Have to be bang on the money. To Jurgen Klopp trying to roust his troops, but I think Chelsea are quite happy for the ball to be crossed into the box. I think that Christensen and Rudiger and Azpilicueta can deal with those situations, and they have done so far this evening.
Seemingly that was the earliest that Mo Salah has been substituted in a Premier League game that he started at Anfield since April 2014, when he was playing for Chelsea against Liverpool. It was around about the hour mark, wasn't it, that he was taken off?
I can't remember that far back, John.
No. Chelsea leading by 1-0. Here's Sadio Mane trying to play the ball, looking for the run of Jota, but Azpilicueta came across. Clearly Jurgen Klopp will be facing questions about that substitution post-match, because Mo Salah sitting down there in what is effectively the second row of substitutes seats, would know only too well that the cameras would be looking at it, and he made it all too clear that he wasn't very happy with the situation. He's got a drink in his hand at the moment. Jurgen Klopp standing down on the edge of the coaching area. Liverpool losing by 1-0. Chelsea with a throw on the halfway line. It's fired forward, but that's giving possession back to Liverpool, who go all the way back to Alisson. Alisson playing it out to Fabinho, who's had an extremely sharp haircut. Not a single hair you can see on his head, gleaming under the Anfield floodlights. Here's Mount on the left-hand side. Mason Mount angling it back to Jorginho. Jorginho then a pass out towards the right-hand side. Reece James takes that down. Quick ball into Pulisic on the edge of the box, but just bounced away from him, and Liverpool should be able to clear, though Mount might have been fouled by Wijnaldum. No free kick. However, Thiago very nearly gave it away, and he was fortunate that he got a second chance to play it forward towards Firmino. Thiago again, now to Robertson, to the left-hand side, and Jota, who is out there, plays it infield. Firmino now has Chelsea players all around him, uses Jota, but Jota laid it off behind Mane, and Chelsea were able to step forward, Ben Chilwell, and take the ball away.
just not on the same wavelength. That's a poor pass from Kante. Reece James just keeps it in on his own goal line there. That's just not clicked in the final third for Liverpool.
Liverpool with Oxlade-Chamberlain turning and giving it infield towards Thiago and then back to the halfway line. Liverpool really searching for something here. 74 minutes almost played, just over 15 minutes to go, and Liverpool in the second half had the penalty shout for the Kante handball. Other than that, very little in terms of what they've created in this match here at Anfield. And the champions, I mean, it's a remarkable slump. It is a slump that they are in currently. 22 points behind the leaders, Manchester City. And in all competitions, Liverpool have lost 7 of their last 13 and are facing defeat here. Fabinho playing it forward towards Alexander-Arnold. Alexander-Arnold through the middle to Oxlade-Chamberlain. Sadio Mane, this is all on the right-hand side. Firmino away from Mount, but in came Jorginho to whip it away from Firmino, who then fouls him, and it's a free kick to Chelsea 10 yards inside their own half. Liverpool don't like it, but it's a free kick to Chelsea.
They're just running out of ideas up top. All going into Firmino.
So what's the problem, Chris? Why is this team running out of ideas at Anfield?
It's amazing, really. I think that they are a team who are lacking in belief. The confidence, the longer the season has gone on, has drained out of them. I think defensively they aren't what they are, and we know the reasons for that. But offensively, it's a bit of a head scratcher, really, when you look at the Liverpool front line. The goals they've scored, Mane, Salah and Firmino, and the real lack of a goal threat. And that was the surprise with Mo Salah being taken off. Now, whatever has happened this evening, his form hasn't been the greatest, but he's their go-to man, one who scores most of the goals for Liverpool. So to take him off is an enormous call. I wonder whether Jurgen Klopp, if they don't get back into this, will really regret that call.
Just seems really odd as it's played forward towards Mount. Mount now to Werner, left side of the box. Alisson comes out and makes a blocking save with his legs, which deflects it behind for a corner. The angle was tight there for Werner as it was played through to him by Mason Mount, but a good blocking save from the Liverpool goalkeeper.
Good save, not an easy chance for Werner. Good run in behind. I just think Mason Mount over hits his pass, really. Didn't need to hit the pass so firmly. A couple of yards too far. The angle, acute, goes against Werner, left-footed. Alisson blocks the angle. Good save.
Here's the corner into the near post, but that's headed up and away for Liverpool. 1-0 Chelsea lead. 5 Live Sport from the BBC. We'll be on air till 10:30 tonight when Chris Warburton will be in to take over. But we'll try and bring the interviews live from down pitch side here at Anfield before 10:30. As Chelsea with Chilwell. Chilwell's ball across the penalty area is overhit though, and it's out for a throw into Liverpool in the left back position. Yep. If you don't hear them there, then the 5 Live Football Daily podcast, of course, from BBC Sounds. And tomorrow, being a Friday as it is also the day of the Friday Football Social, when Nigel Pearson, the new Bristol City manager, will be a guest of Darren Fletcher and Jermaine Genius tomorrow night, so don't miss that. Michael Dawson's on the programme as well, who made his debut as a summariser for us last weekend. And Christensen playing the ball forward, but it bounces out of play for a throw into Liverpool halfway inside their own half. And similarly, on that subject, I don't know if anyone missed Chris Waddle and Glenn Hoddle together, who were on with Darren and Jermaine 3 weeks ago. It was absolutely brilliant, and I'm sure you can still find that on the Football Daily podcast that related to it. It's well worth a listen. Alexander-Arnold playing the ball back towards Fabinho. Kovacic is going to come on for Chelsea, and James Milner for Liverpool. So that is Jurgen Klopp's third and final change. Liverpool with it inside their own half, and we've got just 12 minutes to play. Chelsea winning 1-0. Christensen playing the ball back to Edouard Mendy, who's in for yet another clean sheet. 11 clean sheets in his 21 Premier League appearances so far for the new Chelsea goalkeeper. That's not bad. Mount, then Kante, and then Werner, challenged by Fabinho. Rudiger's underneath this though, clears it, but it hits Jota, bounces back towards the dead ball line. Rudiger plays it back to Mendy, who calmly passes it forward to Jorginho, who has Jota, and he turns away from Jota and Firmino, and then ruins it all by passing it straight to Fabinho.
He did well, didn't he, Jorginho, but not on the same wavelength. Timo Werner saying, I want that ball in behind, I understand that.
Jota, middle of the Chelsea half. Here's Thiago now. Thiago picking a low pass, bouncing out towards the left corner of the box. Robertson's ball in, but Christensen was there just inside the 6-yard box to clear it away. Jota was behind him, good low delivery, whipped it in, but cleared by Christensen.
Yeah, Reece James has to work harder, stop the cross. Simple shift. Andy Robertson, ball fizzed across, Christensen in the right position to make the clearance.
The change sees Thiago withdrawn and James Milner on for him, and it is going to be the goal scorer Mason Mount who will make way for Chelsea. So Kovacic coming on for him, goal scorer tonight. All 5 of Mason Mount's league goals this season have come away from home, but this was a good one, a really good one, Chris, that Mount scored.
Yep, what an impact he's had on this match. Fantastic goal, such a talented young player, drives inside on Fabinho. I don't think Fabinho should have let him on the inside, and whips it into the far corner of the net.
Time's running out for Liverpool here again. 1-0 down. We're into the last 10 minutes. Throw-in taken for Liverpool into the Chelsea box. Firmino is after it, but it bounced away and was cleared away towards the halfway line. And Chelsea are onto this. Werner slightly behind him, but he was able to get a foot to it ahead of Alexander-Arnold and then hook it back into his own half. Chilwell, long ball forward from him. There are 2 Chelsea men there. It's flicked on by Pulisic, but Werner couldn't get there, and Alisson came sliding out onto the ball. And Liverpool come quickly forward again. Urgency now about the champions. Chelsea in a position here whereby if they win, they will be back into the top 4 in the Premier League. But the ball's played up towards Firmino, who beat Christensen on the edge of the area, but it just ran away from him through to Mendy.
Really poor touch. Bounces over his foot, and Liverpool barely had a chance in the second half. Sloppy defending from Christensen. Surprised me a little bit, Jurgen Klopp's last substitution, James Milner. You know, the options he has on the bench. I'm not saying any of the players have really been tearing it up at Liverpool, but he's got Keita on the bench, Shaqiri, Origi.
Liverpool looking flat, or Chelsea making them look flat?
I think a little bit of both. The belief is, the confidence is just drained out of this Liverpool team, but to see them fall as they have done, really. I mean, the home form has been absolutely desperate. You say they're on for a record-breaking 5 defeats.
But I mean, it is perplexing, the fact that this is with less than 10 minutes away from this, where 5 minutes ago they'd gone a club record 68 home Premier League matches unbeaten, and to fail to score so regularly at home is remarkable as well for this Liverpool team. Alexander-Arnold crossing, that's better, but headed away by Christensen. Comes out for Liverpool, and Oxlade-Chamberlain plays it forward, but Mendy comes right to the left edge of his 6-yard box and is able to claim it quite comfortably ahead of Alexander-Arnold.
Yep, good goalkeeping from Mendy once again. He's had a confident night, hasn't he? Chelsea prepared to play out from the back, albeit that's a sloppy pass from Kovacic.
Yeah, which was a little fortunate there that Liverpool weren't able to take advantage. It's out of play. To throw in to Liverpool, way over on the far side. And Liverpool have to start again from inside their own half. 7 minutes to play. Chelsea leading 1-0. Ball back to Kabak. Now Fabinho. Just puts his foot on the ball. Thought about going to Alexander-Arnold. Kabak will play a cross-field pass to Alexander-Arnold, and now it's low from him. Sadio Mane does well with it, actually, dances away from a couple of challenges, then turns back into trouble. James Milner then comes across to get his first meaningful touch of open play. Now Kabak, long left-footed ball for Jota to chase. Azpilicueta is there with him, heads it past Jota, who's claiming it was out of play, and the assistant down here agrees that it was, so that will be a cheap corner.
What? I'm not so sure about that. I think the assistant, flag happy, just guessed at that, but a chance for Liverpool nonetheless.
Well, Stuart Bird, who it is, the assistant, is down there in a better position than we're in, and he adjudged it was out. Corner, here it is, which is headed away by Azpilicueta for Chelsea. Comes out for Liverpool though, and it's chipped across by Oxlade-Chamberlain, and then Alexander-Arnold into the box. It's very congested in there. Sadio Mane tried to turn, Chelsea got a foot in, and then Kante runs it away, but he's been dispossessed by Roberto Firmino. Firmino into the full-back position. Kante and Pulisic, he's gone past them. Firmino plays the ball right across the box, bounces down for Kabak, who was inside the box, but he couldn't get the shot in. Then it comes back for Wijnaldum with a header, but it's close enough for Mendy to be able to take a step to his right, catch it, and drop down forward onto his front.
But that's why Liverpool do not score goals, or haven't scored enough goals at home. Nobody gambles. Firmino does so well down the left-hand side. Little shift away from Kante, fires the ball across the Chelsea 6-yard line. Everybody on the heels.
1-0 Chelsea lead. 5 minutes to go. Pulisic, one of the Chelsea substitutes, slides in and keeps possession of Chelsea inside their own half.
You go back a year, John, you'd have 3 Liverpool forwards all gambling in on that.
And Salah would be one of them. Salah substituted after an hour, sitting on the substitutes bench watching this. And Liverpool's opportunities there were for the new central defender, Ozan Kabak.
Oh, that'll be a yellow card for
Sadio Mane.
Oh, he's not bringing a card out, but he's
being cleared away by
that.
Christensen.
He go to ground, he does go to ground. Clatters into the back.
Free kick. So we're less than 5 minutes away from witnessing something that we've never seen before. A 5th consecutive home defeat for Liverpool. Pulisic. Kante now back to Jorginho. Jorginho forward, but Kabak steps forward and Liverpool have it back. Little ball from Oxlade-Chamberlain to Wijnaldum in the centre circle. But Kovacic is on now. He's the, if you like, the first line of defence, Kovacic, playing as the midfielder furthest forward. Liverpool with Milner go back to Alisson. Alisson passes it out from the back. Liverpool not getting out of their own half, and in fact it's been given away. Here's a contender for the man of the match. Kante plays it over the halfway line, then it comes back to Kante, who passes it forward, but Milner on the stretch just gets there for Liverpool, and Milner plays it over the top for Jota to chase, but Christensen hooks it away and it bounces out for a throw-in on the far side. He's done well, Christensen, since he's come in. Thiago Silva after his injury.
Yeah, he has. That back three centre-halves for Chelsea have all been immense, strong performances. Liverpool all in sync, aren't they?
Liverpool waste it from the throw, and then Milner slides in and concedes a free kick, and that's Chelsea's ball in the middle of their own half, and they're in absolutely no hurry at all. Less than 3 minutes of the 90 to play now. Liverpool facing what would be an 8th Premier League defeat of this season, their 5th here at home. Milner back to Kabak to Milner again, 10 yards inside his own half. A low ball forward to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, stretch from him, but has to prod it under pressure all the way back to Fabinho. Sadio Mane out here on the right-hand side, tripped by Rudiger. Free kick to the right of the centre circle. Sadio Mane, there's a bit of frustration there. Kovacic, the two of them got up and went chest to chest, and Kovacic just glares at Sadio Mane, and they walk away, and Liverpool take the quick free kick. And we've got 2 minutes to go, and Liverpool trying to create something down the left-hand side this time. Wijnaldum is there. Wijnaldum turns infield and then works it across towards Fabinho, and Fabinho now will bring it forward. Sadio Mane is right there with him. Mane to Milner. Milner forward again, but Rudiger just stretches ahead of Firmino and is able to volley it high and away. And actually Pulisic is underneath it for Chelsea, who go back to the edge of their own penalty area, but Christensen, that was cool in between Mane and Firmino, just passed it away. And now a stooping Kovacic is able to keep it. Chilwell. Kovacic goes back to Rudiger, who's going to give it the big left boot, who puts it through it, and actually Alisson's come for it. Pulisic is challenging for it, but the Liverpool goalkeeper got his head to it first. And now Robertson volleys it forward, but Azpilicueta is there for Chelsea. Liverpool can't make any impression on Chelsea here. Kovacic then playing it forward to Pulisic. Fabinho slides in. Referee plays the advantage. That was a foul on Fabinho. He's still going, Liverpool, with Alexander-Arnold on the right-hand side. Alexander-Arnold lifts it forward. This is for Oxlade-Chamberlain to chase, but Rudiger's going to get there, and he volleys it high into the air. It hasn't gone out of play. It bounces on the pitch, and then Kovacic with a volley away. This for Werner. Fabinho comes across, gets there to the bouncing ball ahead of Werner, and is able to poke it infield. Liverpool rousing themselves, and we've only got 30 seconds to play, rousing themselves for some kind of gung-ho finish here. But Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, we know already that they are extremely difficult to score against. And Liverpool with the ball on the halfway line.
Just not brave enough, Liverpool, though, in the final third. Nobody wants to take a chance, get on the ball, try and beat a man. Too passive, Liverpool.
3 minutes of added time. And also Kai Havertz waiting to come on for what would be Chelsea's final change. But Liverpool now slipping a ball into the penalty area for Milner, but Christensen was across and was able to turn it away and behind for a Liverpool corner from the right-hand side. Chelsea will make that change first, and it is going to be Turbo. Turbo Timo himself. So Havertz coming on to replace him. How do you think he's done today, Werner?
But you know what? I think he's been a massive threat. That Liverpool backline, they have been petrified about his pace, his movement in behind. Really unlucky to have the goal ruled out. The VAR call, I'm not so sure that was the right call. Second half, he's caused a threat, he's worked hard for the team. No goals once again, but decent performance.
Liverpool are less than 3 minutes of added time away from a 5th consecutive home defeat. Alexander-Arnold takes the corner, comes off the head of Jota, but that little glance takes it out towards the far side. Milner keeps possession for Liverpool, plays it back to Robertson. Robertson's left-footed ball to Alexander-Arnold, who tried to volley it across. It bounces twice and then is cleared away by Rudiger, another of the Chelsea man of the match contenders. Fabinho now on the halfway line has to stab it under pressure back into his own half. Robertson is there. Already 90 seconds of the 3 minutes of added time have been played. If it's going to come for Liverpool, it's going to be very late. And the ball is taken on by Sadio Mane, but Azpilicueta played it into Sadio Mane and it bounced through for Chelsea's ball.
Yeah, he would be my man of the match, Azpilicueta, for Chelsea. As we see that Rudiger's gone down.
He has a little bit of cramp. It'll certainly waste a few seconds. Martin Atkinson comes across, sees Azpilicueta, the captain, sending out instructions.
Come on, when the centre-half shouldn't get cramp, John?
What, in added time when you're 1-0 up at Anfield?
Just shuffle across.
Maybe this central defender hasn't got cramp.
Well, it may be another minute added on now, John.
No, it might well be. Azpilicueta, incidentally, tonight, 411th appearance for Chelsea, which puts him number 10 on Chelsea's all-time appearance list. Throw in for Reece James, and we have now 30 seconds of added time to play. A minimum of 3 minutes are added on. Chelsea have got another throw after it was deflected out of play, and Liverpool's body language does not look great out there. James with the throw.
This has been comfortable, hasn't it, for Chelsea? It really has. You know, 1-0, of course, always worried about a moment of brilliance from one of the Liverpool front players. That hasn't happened. It's been very, very comfortable for Chelsea. I didn't see this coming. And Liverpool have been in bad form. I expected a reaction tonight.
But Chelsea are now just seconds away from what will be a famous victory. And this run under Thomas Tuchel, this unbeaten run, they will have conceded only 2 goals in his first 10 matches in charge, which is remarkable. Christensen fires it forward. Only seconds left now. We're well beyond the 3 minutes of added time. Martin Atkinson looks at his watch, and that is it. There are clenched fists of celebration from the Chelsea players down there. Chelsea have won 1-0 here at Anfield, and this is a 5th consecutive home defeat for Liverpool. This is Liverpool history. This has never happened before, to lose 5 consecutive home matches. What on earth has gone wrong with Liverpool? Jurgen Klopp just turning away to Thomas Tuchel down there, the 2 German coaches together, and Jurgen Klopp is now in discussions with the 4th official, Anthony Taylor, in quite animated style. I'm not sure what the issue is there, but the conversation goes on. But whatever the conversation, Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool team have lost again. Their 5th defeat at home in the Premier League this season for the champions. They're 8th in the league in all this season. And Chelsea go on unbeaten under Thomas Tuchel. 1-0, Chelsea win it. Mason Mount's goal in the 42nd minute. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, and Jurgen Klopp clearly rattled down on the touchline, having words with the 4th official. I don't know what about. His team were well beaten tonight. Chelsea were the better team. I thought it was really comfortable from Chelsea. Got themselves in front with Mason Mount. A moment of brilliance. Liverpool should have defended better. But in the second half, you think, when did Mendy really have any of, or have to make a save of note? He didn't. And Chelsea saw this through really comfortably. Liverpool are in massive, massive trouble in terms of finishing in the top 4. They'll probably have to win the Champions League to get in the competition next season. But Chelsea, what a result for Thomas Tuchel. They are marching on, and you think with the performance of this authority, you'd certainly make them one of the favourites for a top 4 finish.
Yep, Chelsea now just 4 points behind Manchester United in second, and have put 4 points between themselves and Liverpool with this scoreline. Liverpool 0, Chelsea 1.
Let me give you the top of the table then, because Tottenham won earlier, Everton won earlier. So Manchester City 65, Manchester United 51, Leicester 50, Chelsea 47, Everton 46, they've played a game less. West Ham 46, they've played a game less. Liverpool 43 and Tottenham 42, they have played a game less. And I suppose the story from tonight, really, Chris, is that Chelsea, it never felt like Chelsea were in trouble.
No, that's absolutely right. You look at the Chelsea back line. I thought they were immense, but they weren't stretched at all. And Liverpool going forward, they really lack belief. No real link up. There was a moment in the second half where Firmino got down the left-hand side, got to the byline and fizzed a ball across the Chelsea 6-yard box, and there were 3 Liverpool players in the box, all on the heels. Sort of a year ago, all those Liverpool players would have been anticipating the cross and been proactive, and it would have been a goal, but it's just not happening in the final third. And then when you add that to Liverpool's woes at the back, where they give away cheap chances, cheap goals, they are bang in trouble this season. It's been a woeful title defence, but they're going to struggle to get into the top 4.
If you want an indication in how they have struggled, John, since the turn of the year, they've picked up 10 points in 11 Premier League games in this calendar year. Only West Brom with 9, Newcastle with 7, and Southampton with 4 have picked up fewer.
But I think also what accentuates it is, if you actually go a little bit further back, middle of December, not long before Christmas, when they won 7-0 at Crystal Palace, on that day, 19th of December, they were 5 points clear at the top, and they led Manchester City by 8 points. The form has just absolutely, to use the old phrase, fallen off a cliff.
Why?
Well, are we seeing a combination of factors here? So it's a little bit like when we talk about Manchester City and we talk about why is it that Manchester City are doing so well this season, and why are they in the position that they're in? They're in the position because they are consistent, They have managed to cope with their injuries, and they've managed to get their players into form. So many players are in form. And what I would say is it's almost a case that the direct opposite applies to Liverpool. And clearly, as everyone knows, the injuries that they've had have played a part in so many different ways. But as well as that, there is the effect as well of perhaps the fatigue factor comes into it too, and the heights that they've hit.
You can't use the fatigue factor.
Whilst I take your point on the injuries in the main have been defensively, and I understand that actually then midfielders have had to go back into the defence, Chris. But going forward, bar the 7 at Palace, they have struggled going forward. Mane has 7 league goals this season. Firmino has 6 league goals this season. Salah has.
Look at the midfield.
Where the midfield doesn't contribute in an attacking sense.
No, that's absolutely spot on. So, we sat here this evening and Mo Salah, what did you say, the first time he's been hooked off, so was it since 2000?
Since he was playing in a Premier League match, since he was playing for Chelsea.
And you just, and maybe he's injured, and maybe we've got this badly wrong, but Jurgen Klopp hooking his go-to man for goals off that early, that was a baffling decision. Is he thinking clearly, Jurgen Klopp? Because it doesn't seem that way, but you wonder.
But if you as a manager don't think that, it doesn't matter who it is, does it? If you as a manager think that they're not performing, you bring them off. There's not special treatment, is there? Just because you're the top scorer, is there?
Nothing to do with special treatment. He's the guy who scored the bulk of the goals. I mean, was Mo Salah worse than Sadio Mane or Firmino in the first half? I didn't think so. I didn't think, he was that bad. But what you do know with Mo Salah, he's likely to conjure up a moment of brilliance, or more likely than Mane and Firmino this season. So that was a staggering decision. Now, I think he's been unfortunate in terms of Diogo Jota, who was performing well at the start of the season. He's had that injury, so it was good to see him get back on the field tonight. But Liverpool have, shot themselves in the foot, and they've shot themselves in the foot because they didn't act quickly enough to bring a centre-half of good enough quality in at the start of January. When they should have moved, Jurgen Klopp might feel that he's been let down by the hierarchy at the club in that respect. But what we do know at this moment in time is that Liverpool, look, I think that at the start of the season we would have all said they are certain. I mean, it'd be ridiculous to think that Liverpool wouldn't get in a Champions League spot. They are in real trouble now, massive trouble. The pressure is on.
But what also I would say is that this is sport. This happens.
But you say it happens, and I understand that. We didn't expect the wheels to quite come off.
We did not expect this, but it can happen, and it has happened to Liverpool.
As Chelsea's turnaround, and since Thomas Tuchel took charge of his first game, only Manchester City have picked up more points. Has Chelsea's turnaround, I mean, if you were to simplify it, does it come back to going to 3 at the back?
Look, I think that Thomas Tuchel, he's come in, he's changed the system, he's brought Rudiger back into the side, he's utilised his whole squad. I still don't think he's sure about his first 11, but the system has seemed to work so far. Now, should we be getting carried away with Chelsea with the run of games that they've had? What we can say is in the recent games, the performance against Atletico Madrid, the performance here tonight, they deserve those victories. They have been their toughest test. So you could chuck in Manchester United at the weekend. I thought the performance was a little bit flat, albeit that they defended well. So they seem to be moving in the right direction under Thomas Tuchel, but I think we need to give him longer yet.
He's started to know more of his best 11, though, isn't he? I mean, that back three seems fairly solid now. He's got 2 options either side at wing backs. Maybe he's still to determine who his main centre forward is, but several of those positions are being nailed down.
Yeah, unbelievable squad he's got. You look at the Chelsea bench tonight. We see Pep at Manchester City utilised his squad fully, and we've seen how strong they are. And Chelsea, It'll be interesting, the finish to this season, whether they get a top 4 place, which must have been Thomas Tuchel's remit when he came in. They were in 9th place, I think. So it looks like the form they're in, the confidence the team has, that they will get a Champions League spot. And then, we don't want to get too carried away and say because they haven't conceded many goals this season that they will be contenders next season. But that's always the aim at Chelsea, isn't it? They want to be, or they want to challenge for the Premier League title. That's what the owner demands.
You seem very keen not to get carried away this evening.
Well, have you ever seen him get carried away?
No, that's a fair point.
Well, I would say also, when I mentioned Manchester City and looking at it from a Manchester City point of view, assuming they both get through in the Champions League, how high on the list of the teams left in the Champions League would you say Chelsea are on Pep Guardiola's list of teams I don't want to get drawn against?
Oh,
I would say quite high.
But whereabouts? There's not many teams left.
There are not. No, there will be 7 possibilities.
Tends to be how quarterfinals work. Chris Warburton is here at 10:30. Chris?
Hello, Mark. Yes, it's the 2 Chris's tonight, Dr. Chris Smith and me. And the show is yours, of course. You decide where it goes with your questions, the coronavirus phone-in, because it's your chance to ask whatever you like, really, about where we are with COVID. So it can be the science of it all, the day-to-day of your life, and try and get in early, because we do get plenty of calls, mainly because Dr. Chris is so damn good. We'll throw some stuff into the mix too, as we always do, including this new variant, which you might have seen in the news, has been added to the UK watch list today. How concerned should we be about that? You might have been like me and eaten a little bit too much during lockdown. I'm generally fearful of getting on the scales, but we do know we have an obesity problem in this country. Now, today, the World Health Organization has said that will have contributed to the high COVID death rate we've got in this country as well. We'll have a proper look at the link or otherwise between the two. There were a few European countries who said non, etc., to the Oxford AstraZeneca jab for over 65s, you'll remember. Now Germany is the latest to change their mind. What did all of that episode mean, though, in terms of confidence that people had around that jab? We'll talk about that. Plus homeschooling. I'm done. I've done it. One more day to go for most people. How are teachers feeling about the imminent return of pupils? And I wonder this, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a parent, is there anything that you'll miss about it when you think about it? Will it be the little, a lie-in maybe? If your school starts at 10 past, you're up at 5 past. Mark, anything at all?
Well, yeah, we'll have to get up earlier, I think, but I'll miss quite a lot of it.
Will you?
I've quite enjoyed it.
Okay, that's good. Yes. That's good to hear.
Absolutely.
So many people I speak to just go, I'm just counting down the days. We'll get there, But that's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Thanks. Thank you, Chris. All to here at 10:30. Now then, Chris and John,
That's
who
a
are still
terrible
out.
9 and non, wasn't it, from Chris?
Yes, yeah. Well, we leave the linguistical side of things to John Murray, don't we? As we've already found out earlier with his German. There've been more of a bigger picture thing, not really focusing just on Liverpool Chelsea here. But since Saturday lunchtime, there have been 17 Premier League games. Do you know how many of those have seen a side score more than a goal? Have a rough guess.
17, so 17 matches.
More than one goal.
How many teams did you say?
How many teams have scored more than a goal in those 17?
2.
Okay, that's suitably negative, but...
Okay, I'll go a bit more.
I don't want to get carried away.
No.
I'll say 6.
Okay, it's 5 actually, and Manchester
in between
City.
There.
Yeah, Manchester City have done it twice, 2 against West Ham and 4 against Wolves.
You're beginning to sound like Statman Dave.
Okay, well, all right. But,
how many were you expecting?
Well, I would have expected slightly more than 5 out of 17. My point being, do you not think that all shattered at the moment? Do you think the product is very good?
I thought you just said I couldn't use fatigue as an argument.
No, Chris said that when it came to Liverpool. I'm looking at the bigger picture. I just don't.
You called me negative earlier this evening.
What do you think is good at the moment?
Negative.
How many games have you enjoyed in the last few days? Genuinely,
thoroughly enjoyed tonight. I thought it was a really interesting watch.
Liverpool never troubled Mendy. What you actually
Chelsea,
said earlier.
Yeah, but Chelsea were good, weren't they? I mean, you couldn't take your eyes off it because there's so many good players on the pitch. So I found that exciting.
Quite enjoyed Manchester City Wolves.
Yeah, good shout. Yep. Sheffield United, spirited performance last night. That was a good result. But I know what you're saying about the lack of goals. But are we looking into this too deeply? Are you looking into this too deeply, Mark?
I don't think so. I was just throwing out there. Maybe I've just watched a lot of football over the last few days, most of which has not seen a great deal of jeopardy in it, should we say.
Maybe look at other leagues and look at Norwich City, the way they're performing under Daniel Farke. It's not all just about the Premier League.
No, it isn't. Oh my God, that's my point. I'm just saying, over the last few days, Chris, I watch a lot of other sport and a lot of other leagues, but at the moment, this doesn't feel like a particularly entertaining product.
But didn't we expect this? To an extent.
And that's part of my point. I'm not necessarily
this.
blaming anybody. I'm just saying it's not particularly entertaining at the moment. It's not exactly end-to-end in a lot of games. And, by the way, we're about to send players off on an international break, which is just what we all need.
Well, some managers were suggesting not.
No, with the quarantine issue, which is going, how that develops over the course of the next month is obviously going to be very interesting. And, we'll have to see what the rules are in a month's time when it comes to those players going away. But that, and Jurgen Klopp has obviously been one of those who has spoken about this, is going to, really put the cat among the pigeons if we've got restrictions on who can be called up.
My motto, Mark, is always look on the bright side. I think you're slightly down this evening.
I'm not slightly down. I'm just trying to look at how we give some of these players a break, which is not coming for a while, is it? It's not.
No, and I get that, but Manchester City are coping all right, aren't they? Rotating players. Liverpool are stretched, but have they got them, themselves to blame for not acting in January and bringing more players in? I think that's an argument.
Well, I saw Rob Draper, the journalist Rob Draper today, suggest, he said, these World Cup qualifiers that are coming up next month, is there no way that they can be pushed back and just use that as a break and bring forward the end of the league season, get the league season played? But I'm afraid the problem is, where do you then fit them in later in the schedule? And that World Cup is coming up at the end of next year. The schedule is just absolutely rammed.
But do we not read too much into this? Was it Nottingham Forest under Brian Clough back in the day over 62, 64 games they played and won everything? You didn't see them
Liverpool
moaning too many games. Is this a modern thing?
Mason Mount's been talking to television. Where the season is at the moment, it is very tight in the top four. We are in and around. We want to keep pushing. We've been on a good run recently. We've been keeping clean sheets but not scoring enough. It was very good to score tonight. The plan was to press them high and not let them have the ball. We had to be brave and try and win the ball up high. Most of the time they defend high, and that is where the goal came from. It's a massive win. Every game now is a big win. We need to get as many 3 points as we can. We have the team to do it. We want to keep going. I just try to give my best performance-wise. If I'm starting or coming off the bench, I feel like everyone has been really together. I'm obviously happy. I'm happy to get a goal today, and I want to score more. So many times, John Murray, the attention, particularly when talking about England, the attention is on Maddison or Grealish or Foden. Mount, to a certain extent, goes under the radar, and yet there is no doubting he will be in Gareth Southgate's squad for the Euros.
Yeah, I mean, that's the compelling piece of evidence on the, do you want Mason Mount in your England team or not? What matters is, does Gareth Southgate want him in the team? And he does. Mason Mount started the last 5 England matches, and he scored against Belgium, he scored against Iceland the last time they played at Wembley. He's playing consistently, and he's playing consistently well for his club team that are pushing up at the top end of the Premier League and are still in the Champions League. So that's quite a strong argument for him not only being in the squad but being in the England team.
Chris?
Yeah, I totally agree with John. I think that Gareth Southgate just trusts him. You know, you're going to get out of possession. He works exceptionally hard. He's brilliant tonight, out of possession for Chelsea. Can play a number of positions, can play them all exceptionally well. And he's a real talent. I think he's underrated. I think he gets a hard time, actually. I think people, you know, they give him a bit of a kick in, and I think it's undeserved. I think he's a brilliant young talent, and I can see why Gareth Southgate is a big admirer of him.
Duncan Alexander, who's always good for a stat on social media, saying that Chris Wood had more shots on target this midweek than Liverpool and Manchester United combined. We're going to hear... that is a stat, isn't it? We hope to get some reaction very shortly from one of the managers. Hopefully Thomas Tuchel will join us before we come off air. Earlier wins for Everton and Tottenham. Everton winning by a 1-0 at West Brom. Tottenham beating Fulham by a 0-0. Reaction to both will be on the Football Daily pod. And we should remember in all of this talk about Chelsea, if Everton win their game in hand, they go back above them into fourth, Chris.
Yeah, what a season Everton have had under Carlo Ancelotti. They're doing great things. I mean, the race is really on, and when you see that Leicester, for the first time this season, have started to fall away and struggle a little bit. Manchester United, their performance last night was really flat. West Ham, can they sort of hang on in there and scrap for a Champions League place? Chelsea seem to be moving in the right direction, don't they? And there's going to be one hell of a scrap. The league already won with Manchester City, but the top four is intriguing, that race.
I noticed that Bernard played tonight as well for Everton. Started the match, and referring to my earlier pronunciation trail, that is it. I've now found documentary evidence that he does not pronounce his name Bernard. He pronounces it Bernard.
Where did you find this evidence?
I found it, him pronouncing it himself.
Okay,
I'm not having that at all.
So I demand a retraction from Chris Sutton.
Right.
Did you hear that commentary, Mark? The Bernard.
You both have questioned my pronunciation of his name.
It's like Bernard's like your great uncle, isn't he, or your granddad.
Well, if John has found this, then Bernard it will be from now on. Who is your top four then, Chris, at the moment? Who's going to finish as the top four?
I was just thinking of somebody shouting on a Brazilian beach, Bernard, bring me a cocktail. It doesn't work, does it? My top four is Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, and one other. If you're going to force me, I'm going to say Leicester.
Okay. Okay. John?
I'll go for the same three, and I will go for a Liverpool resurgence.
How, John? How? When are they going to turn this round?
Well, they've got to do it. They've got to do it sharpish, but that's what I'll guess at. That's what I'm going to guess at.
Right. Okay then.
And yours, Mark?
It's not about me. It's about getting the opinions of the commentators and the pundits. That, as I tell you many times, Chris, nobody cares what I think. It's about what you think and what the commentators think. So we'll hear from Jurgen Klopp and Thomas Tuchel throughout the evening here on 5 Live Sport. And you'll also get reaction in the Football Daily pod. You'll also get reaction to Tottenham's 1-0 win at Fulham. There was a controversial VAR decision in that game that denied Fulham a second-half equaliser. And Everton won 1-0 at West Brom. There was a VAR decision there that ruled that Diagne was offside when he equalised for West Brom in that game. So 3 1-0 wins, all for the visitors this evening. It leaves the race for the top four intriguing. Thank you to John and Chris. And here is Chris Warburton.
That 9, by the way, German GCSE mark. an A.
Well,
that's all I'm saying. All right, I know it's not to you.
No, that's fine. It's Chris who's the perfectionist when it comes to languages.
I know this. Cheers, Mark. Thank you. Now, I'm looking forward to this. The coronavirus call-in with me, Chris Warburton, until 1 o'clock in the morning, and with Dr. Chris Smith. The two Chris's this evening. We've got your texts and calls already coming in, actually. You decide where it goes. That's the whole idea. The science of where we are with COVID, what it means for you in your day-to-day life, and we'll try and have some laughs along the way as well. If you've not called in before, why not? Why not give it a go? How often do you get the chance to speak directly to one of the country's leading virologists? Well, that is the opportunity tonight. If there's something you've just been chewing over and you think, maybe I can get an answer tonight, the number to call is 08085 909 693. So it's 08085 909 693. Try and get in early because it does get rather busy. If you'd rather just text, that's fine. The text number, as always, is 85058. If you want to do it on social media at BBC 5 Live. You know all this already. I don't know why I'm telling you again, but it's important. It's important to reiterate these things from time to time, isn't it? It's 10:31. We'll get going after we've had the news and sport from Richard Foster.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Nursing unions say there'll be a backlash if the government only gives staff a 1% pay rise. The health department's made the recommendation to the independent panel that advises on NHS salaries. The Italian government says a shipment of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine can't go to Australia. The decision affects 250,000 doses. Italy's the first EU country to stop vaccine exports if the company making them has failed to meet its obligations to the bloc. Security services say 3 terror attacks have been prevented in the UK since the pandemic began. The Foreign Secretary says young people have been recruited to terror groups in worrying numbers during lockdowns. And scientists have identified 16 cases of another new variant of coronavirus in the UK. It has a mutation in common with the South African and Brazilian types. Public Health England has put it on their watch list, but they aren't immediately concerned.
BBC 5 Live.
Ellis James and John Robbins.
In a special, never-seen-before glimpse into the workings of the BBC, I can now play some clips from the latest BBC listener focus groups.
Ellis James and John Robbins absolutely love that show. It's the best thing on the radio, if you ask me.
Ellis James and John Robbins. I hate it. I think the English presenter is vile and the Welsh one is a weak irrelevance.
Ellis James and John Robbins are 5 Live. Aye, well, we used to have 5 Live on in the office, but I tend to work from home now.
Ellis James and John Robbins.
This Friday from 1 on BBC Radio 5 Live.
The coronavirus call-in
with Chris Warburton
and Dr. Chris Smith
on 5 Live.
Hello, good evening, and thanks to Mark and the rest of the team, the rest of the sports team. And by the way, just listening to those guys, if you haven't listened to the Monday Night Club on the iPlayer, you can listen and watch it now. And then this is great. This is double bubble for me because I love that programme anyway. But if you haven't caught it on the iPlayer, then I suggest you do because it's great. Now, it's the coronavirus call-in with me, Chris Warburton, this evening. And as you know, the next few hours, they're on you, really. Let's get as many calls in as we can. That's the name of the game. I've heard so many good things about the listeners to this programme, so don't let me down, OK? Get in nice and early. If you want to talk to Dr. Chris Smith, he'll be joining us very, very shortly because, as I've said before, if you're a regular, you know it gets pretty busy. I'll give those numbers again in just a little bit. It's about the science. It's about your life as well. And I don't know, it's been one of those odd couple of days, really, isn't it, where we haven't seemed to have been talking incessantly about the science of COVID for once. Other stories, the budget. We were doing the budget on the programme last night, of course. OK, it's directly linked to COVID, a lot of the budget, obviously, but, you know, it's a story in its own right, isn't it? The Alex Salmond, Nicola Sturgeon situation, even Harry and Meghan, all of that have been more towards the top of the agenda. And that hasn't really happened much over the past year, has it? And perhaps that's a bit more evidence that things are continuing to move in the right direction. And one more day of homeschooling. Not for me. I'm done. I'm finished. I finally bowed out. It was the last day for me today. My wife is on homeschooling duty tomorrow before they go back on Monday. We finished. It was a nice day today. We finished with a little book reading session, some hot chocolate on World Book Day. So it was a good grand finale for me. And hats off to all of you who have kept it going through the whole thing. I do wonder, is there... I mean, Mark Chapman was saying there's loads that he'll miss from the whole thing. I don't think my list is that long, of what I'm going to miss. There's the odd thing. There's little moments of joy, isn't there? There's those golden moments where something unexpected happens and you find yourself as a family doing something which is completely unrelated to what you would otherwise be doing. And they're nice. Is there anything you'll miss about it, I wonder, if you've been going through all of this? 85058, let me know on that. But like I say, you set the agenda, as always, for this show, with your calls, with your texts, a few things that we'll try and touch on along the way as well that we'll chuck in. This new variant that's been added to the UK watch list, have you seen that today? This is in the news. How worried should we be about that? We'll ask Chris that. This is interesting. The World Health Organization is now suggesting that the high COVID death rate in the UK is partly due to our well-established and well-known obesity problem. Interesting. So we'll talk about that. Germany joins the list of EU countries saying that, actually, on closer inspection, the Oxford AstraZeneca jab is, in the end, okay for over 65s. After all, not what they were saying for some time, and the messaging over that was not great. I mean, not great for the company, not great for confidence in the Oxford AstraZeneca jab either. And now they've done a full 180. So that we'll touch on too. And one final thing, because we do like to try and keep it a little bit light along the way as well. A simple little challenge for you, if you can get involved with this too. Without comment, given that we've had a bit of time to get used to the dates around the roadmap, I know Chris and Colin were talking about the roadmap this time last week. Have you booked a summer holiday, right? I don't want to get into the whole good idea, bad idea, money back if it all goes wrong and all of that. You know, we've talked about that endlessly, haven't we? Just have you, okay? We got a small cottage in Northumberland sorted. It's in a place called Low Newton, I think it is. Looks amazing. It's near Alnwick. We got it booked up. I couldn't be happier with that, right? I'm not interested in getting on a flight at all. A 3-hour drive, change of scene. That is enough for me. What's your plan? And set the scene, if you could, in a text. And do it like this. So me, ... For me, this is me in the pub garden, which I know looks onto the beach, at sundown, the kids playing off to the side, and a pint of the local brew. That's it. That sounds good for me, right? So that's pretty easy. That's the challenge for you this evening. Me, ... complete the sentence if you have already booked, okay? Nothing flashed, whatever it might be. So do yours, please. You can text 85058 on that as well. Okay.